15th, the Governor and Executive Council meeting. Before we start, if everyone could please, if you haven't already, silence your electronic devices in consideration of everyone else in the meeting today. And we're very honored this morning to have Lieutenant Cantalupo, a chaplain from our New Hampshire National Guard, who will be here providing us a prayer and also singing the national anthem for us. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam. In the beautiful state of New Hampshire, we have many diverse faith groups. I invite you now into a moment to connect with the divine as you feel called. Please feel free to bow your head, close your eyes, or just be at peace. As I use terms that are attributed to my faith, please speak, pray, or meditate as your tradition celebrates. Holy One, we ask your blessing upon all who are gathered here and pray that you make your presence known in this space. Inspire us with your wisdom that we may appreciate the true nature and lasting impact of the positions we hold. May your spirit of justice, care, and concern be on our hearts as we work to serve the people of this great state. Thank you, Creator, for this day. Keep us faithful in our duties and make us worthy examples for those who follow. May you bless us in peace to love and serve the communities you have called us to. In your holy name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
I know that the council and myself would love to get a picture with you, so thank you to that. Appreciate it.
All right, eyes on me. 3, 2, 1. Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you for serving us. We really appreciate it. And now we are going to have Commander David Kenny come lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And let me just say I want to thank Commander Kenny and his wife, because we were here in this chamber on Monday celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Navy, which Commander Kenny was the MC and organized, and it was a beautiful ceremony, and so I thought it was appropriate that you lead us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Much appreciated. Please recite the pledge with me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
And this morning, we are very fortunate to recognize some wonderful New Hampshire citizens, and certainly those commendations or proclamations are ones that I'm very honored to give. First of all, I'd like to commend Officer Mullins from the Epsom Police Department. And if Officer Mullins can please come forward, that would be terrific. And I see you have the department here.
We have the entire.
I love it. Come on.
And all three select people and his family.
And thank you to the Board of Selectmen who are here as well.
Guys.
And your family, please come forward. So, whereas Officer Joseph Mullins of the Epsom Police Department responded as the first officer on the scene to a large building fire that posed imminent danger to its occupants, and whereas upon arrival, Officer Mullins acted with extraordinary courage, forcibly entering a burning apartment to reach a man trapped in a bathroom and risking his own life to rip the door from its frame and pull the victim to safety, and whereas Officer Mullins provided emergency aid by placing the victim in a recovery position and administering chest compressions until rescue personnel arrived, and then continued to search the smoke-filled structure for additional victims, and whereas his swift and selfless actions directly saved the victim's life and prevented a tragedy reflecting the highest ideals of public service and the law enforcement profession, and whereas Officer Mullins, a United States Marine Corps veteran, Semper Fi, consistently serves his community with compassion and reliability, whether aiding senior citizens, responding to overdose or domestic calls, or ensuring public safety in times of crisis. Now therefore, I, Kelly Ayotte, Governor of the State of New Hampshire, do hereby commend Officer Joseph Mullins for his extraordinary heroism, life-saving action, and dedication to the people of Epsom and the State of New Hampshire. Well, thank you for your heroism. It's wonderful that not only have Board of Selectmen, but the police department here to recognize your heroism. And we would love to get a picture with you, the Executive Council, and myself.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And Governor, his entire family supports you.
Oh, yay, thank you. Awesome.
Oh, you've been invited up?
We got a plan.
You got invited?
Hello, Councilor.
We're gonna need everyone to squeeze in.
Yeah, you get the council. Do you come over that? Alright, you got one?
No, we have one more.
Oh, one more.
Grandmother.
Grandmother.
Oh, come on. We can take another picture. Yes, thank you.
All right, all eyes on me. 3, 2, 1. Perfect, thank you.
And why don't we do a picture of the select board and the officer? That would be great. Select board came all the way here. They yeah.
It was a long ride.
Yep. All right, all eyes on me. 3, 2, 1. Perfect, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I know, I love it. I love it. Hey, by the way, grandmother's come on. It's all about it. Thank you. I love it. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, hey. How are you? Thank you. Yeah. And now we have another proclamation. This is to, in terms of the fire proclamation that we approved in the last meeting. It's important that we have another limited exception to that proclamation for certain public events where fire safety officials are there. So I would like to invite Patrick Hackley to come forward to just tell us what is involved in this proclamation before we consider voting on it, because I think there's a lot of checks and balances on this. So Patrick, if you could explain what this is.
Sure, thank you, Governor. So since the fire ban went on a few weeks ago, our office, as well as the Governor's office, have received a number of inquiries about what is permissible beyond the Category 1, Category 2 fire permits, which we have banned. And we've had a few communities reach out to us and the Governor's office to ask if they had a little bit more flexibility with certain conditions in place. And so we gave it some thought. I huddled with the chief of our Forest Protection Bureau, Steve Sherman. We consulted with the Governor's Attorney, Miles Matson, and we came up with wording, which they've all been presented with, right, Governor?
Yes, they've all.
Okay, so we've all seen it. The intent there is to give some flexibility to municipalities. However, with some very important sideboards, specifically a wildfire plan, wildfire response plan, which is quite detailed. We have the template all ready to go. So if this amendment is approved, we'll be sending the wildfire plan out to all of the fire wardens in the state. And they'll need to provide us with detailed information about what they're going to do to prevent potential fire from starting. So a good example is the community of Berlin. They have the river fire. And that's a unique event. It's on the old boom piers from the former log driving days. And they use them to light up the night, if you will, and celebrate. There's an event there. It's a municipal event. And that's why we decided to specifically cater this amendment to municipal events, public activity, and it's very important that the town provides firefighting resources, fire trucks, personnel to be ready in the event of spark flies erupting into combustible material nearby. So with those conditions in place as described in the amendment, we thought that was a reasonable change to make.
And you also would have to approve in advance before that would happen, correct?
We would need to see the wildfire response plan. We would need to have a fire permit. We would need to know who the contact information, who the lead event organizers are, and we would be in contact with them during the event. So it would be probably the most regulated fire we've ever had in the state if we do have one, which, I know there are some organizations that would like to do that, some towns.
Great. Does the council have questions?
No, I just wanted to commend Director Hackley for, in essence, building a carve-out for these types of events. Berlin is, in my community, the city of Berlin. And you're right, they have those 26 kind of boom piers. The event's been going on for 21 years. They did miss 1 year, which is 2020 because of COVID. It's a community event. It's their biggest event in Berlin, and it brings in a lot of people to the hotels, to the restaurants, and to the other businesses in the community. So I appreciate, Steve Sherman, the local chief, Watkins, who's the fire chief, the governor, the chief of staff, Commissioner Quinn, your staff, and whoever else is being involved, because for a rural part of New Hampshire, and given the circumstances, this is very important. And they're going to have a fire truck out there, the firefighters. In fact, the firefighters always partake and volunteer in that event itself. So it's a great event, and I appreciate you coming up with a New Hampshire answer. Thank you.
Great.
Any further questions? Councilor
Thank you. We've had several of our schools and colleges who have had to cancel homecoming bonfires, traditions. Would this carve out allow for those kinds of activities, or is that still too risky?
So it depends on the dimensions of the fire being proposed. And if they can meet all of the requirements of the wildfire response plan, according to that amendment, we would then consider, a waiver on that event. But they would have to meet all those requirements. Now, some people say, well, you said no to all these other organizations prior. But I think what we're trying to do, this is, again, new territory for all of us. This drought is unprecedented. So we're trying to be reasonable, but also cautious. Even with all the precautions in place, it doesn't eliminate the risk of fire. It reduces the risk. But again, with all of that, we've got leaf drop coming here, as you all know. We're past the peak. There's more fuel building in the forest now. So if we have another dry spell, we have to gauge the conditions as we go. But to answer your question, if they meet all the criteria of this new amendment, we would allow that event to go forward.
And does this temporary ban have a date and time that it sunsets and has to be renewed, or is this indefinite until we make a further, we repeal it?
Right, so that's a good question. That's a good segue, because right now we're monitoring, as we have been from the start of the drought, monitoring the conditions. We do have some rain that we're really encouraged. We see some rain in the forecast coming. We're about a foot short of where we need to be in terms of rainfall. So we're not going to get that, unlikely to get that before the end of the calendar year. But what we can do is have these multi-day rain events, even if it's just like what we had on Monday, which was very little. That did nothing to get us out of the drought. So what we're looking for is multi-day events of rain. I think I'm going to stick my neck out here a little bit, but maybe by the end of this month, so in a couple weeks, we may be in a better position to say it's time to lift the ban. We will provide a repeal document to the governor and her staff. We will, as courtesy, notify all of you that we're going to lift the ban.
I'm also, we can bring it back before the council, you can vote on the repeal too, if that makes sense. Since it's your action in putting it in place, I would plan to do that. Once we get sufficient information based on the conditions that it's safe to lift the fire ban for the people of New Hampshire, then we would bring that forward publicly as well, so people would have a chance to weigh in if they want to. Councilor.
Governor, could that be done by a phone poll so we don't have to have a meeting if it's at time, where we're not going to have a meeting for another week or so?
Sure, we could do, I'm happy to do a telephonic, we would notice it still, so if the public wanted to hear it, we could do it in this chambers, as I understand. I'm happy to do it for that purpose. But given the public safety issue, I think it probably is important that we make sure, in case anyone wants to weigh in, once the state has looked at the conditions and thinks it's appropriate to bring it forward, that if anyone else has feedback, they have the opportunity to offer it before we lift it. But we can do it that way, no problem. Any further questions?
Governor, do we need to take a formal vote on this?
Yes, I think we should. So I would ask you've all seen the proclamation for the modification to the prior fire proclamation that you approved. And I would ask all in favor of approving this modification reflected in what was signed today by all of us, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
Next, from the Office of the Secretary of State, moving forward, I asked for a motion to approve the minutes as amended from the October 1st of 2025 council meeting.
So moved.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Next, from the Office of the Secretary of State, we have civil commissions. Can I please have a motion to confirm the list of civil commissions?
So moved.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Are there any nominations to be placed on the list? Hearing none, the matter of civil commissions is concluded. Next up, we're moving on to resignations. Excuse me, Councilor.
Governor, is there a printed copy available for the resignations and the confirmations?
I gave them to you.
What's the difference?
They were in front of you at the breakfast meeting.
All right.
You need a copy? We have an extra copy, we can give the copy.
Yeah, I'm happy to make you a copy.
All right, I'll share with Councilor Stephen. Thank you.
We're efficiency here.
Yes,
Okay.
Sharing is caring, elected. Okay, so going into resignations, as the Commissioner of Employment Security, can I please have a motion to accept the resignation of George and Pattis of Manchester?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah.
Councilor Stevens.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Pattis?
Commissioner Pattis, come forward.
Was hoping to get out of it.
Morning, councilors.
Good morning, friend. Thank you, Commissioner Pattis, for your 21 years of dedicated public service to the state of New Hampshire. 13 years ago, you stepped into the role of Commissioner at Employment Security for what was to be a 6-month stint. Well, plans changed. You also, preceding that, 8 years at Labor, and I can see why they wanted to keep you. During the pandemic, the height of our crisis, your team processed 175,000 claims. You distributed over $2.058 billion, more than processed in the 10 years preceding. You also left the New Hampshire Unemployment Trust in an enviable position with $388 million. Our friends to the south would kill for that. So again, I tip my hat. I'm sorry to see you go. We've had a lot of great conversations, but thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Council. Appreciate it.
I think there are a few comments, so you still have to stay there. Okay. So I believe Councilor Hill had comments as well.
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Kapanis has guided New Hampshire Employment Security with distinction since 2012, and I echo everything that my colleague just said, particularly your incredible leadership during the pandemic. Our state is a better place for the service that you have provided. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Councilor Stevens.
Thank you. And this is a very difficult decision for me. Wish you could stay a lot longer, but I want to thank you for your service. I know that you actually worked with my dad over, across the bay. It was dread at the time, and you've done a lot in the state service. You are the epitome of what public service is all about, Commissioner Potts. I respect everything you've done. You've put a department together in times of need, and people, you applied workforce services to help those in need as well. And I just want to compliment you on every step of the way in the state of New Hampshire. You have done a wonderful job, and we're sorry to see you go.
Thank you so much, Councilor.
Councilor Kenny.
Thank you, Governor. I've known Commissioner Kapanis for a few years here, but I just wanted to thank you for all your, again, your public service, particularly during COVID. During COVID, post-COVID, every time I called you, you responded. And you also would provide me periodically unemployment statistics for my area, which was important. But this is the hardest working commissioner you saw during COVID. You would call him up at 6, 7, 8, 9. Where was he? He was at his unemployment security office. He was really working hard for the people of New Hampshire, making sure their unemployment benefits were resolved. There were many conflicts that your team did a great job in resolving that. And there's only one thing left that I have to ask is, who's going to provide the baklava?
I'm getting there. You gotta wait for my filibuster.
Okay. Well, congratulations on your career.
Thank you so much, Councilor.
Councilor Wheeler. And
Thank
then
you.
we've got some kids after, I'm sure they're Councilor.
I just wanted to add to that, I've had the pleasure of voting for your confirmation for this job and other jobs over the last 20 years. It was not a mistake. You've done a great job. You didn't disappoint. You've been a good friend as well. And thank you for everything you've done for the people in New Hampshire.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilor. I think it's unanimous. You know, there's not always that many things that are unanimous here, but one of the things that we really appreciate, George, is your incredible public service and what you've done. And I go way back with you too. I mean, from my time as Attorney General, Senator, and now you've given me guidance as Governor, and I couldn't be more grateful for you, and you really do epitomize what it means to be a public servant, all that's good about New Hampshire. And I personally want to thank you for the counsel you've given me, for the help you've given me, and especially for taking me around Glendy. I appreciate it. And just know that how grateful we are, and just we wish you the very, very best in retirement, time with your grandchildren, and all good things in life.
Thank you so much, Governor.
If you'll sit for 1 minute, George, I think we've got some kids, so
Yeah,
why don't we have them introduce, and then we'd love to all get a picture with you, because we can't forget this moment.
Get the kids in there too. Don't forget
I love
the
it,
kids.
bring the kids in too. So who do we have with us?
Students from Reed's Ferry and Merrimack.
Merrimack, that's great. Commissioner, we would love to have you say a few words and get a picture with you.
Sure. Thank you again, Governor and Councilors. It's been a distinct pleasure working with all of you in your current capacity, your prior capacities. And I want to thank you for all the support that you've given to the department. The department stands strong for the state, and I also want to do a little outreach too to all the previous governors I've had the pleasure of serving with, starting with Governor Greg Benson and Governor John Lynch, Governor Maggie Addison, and Governor Chris Sununu. It's been a pleasure, an honor, a privilege for me to be able to serve in this capacity, prior capacity as well at Labor. And I also want to thank a couple of people, my good friend Dick Anados, who every time I asked to serve as the state workforce chair or on another board, and he said, well, I'm kind of busy. I said, well, it's only quarterly meetings, you all said. They come back, it would end up being more than quarterly meetings, and my response would be, yes, 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 thank you, thank you, thank you. And you just start laughing. But I wanted to thank him and Sandy Dezzoni, who met me my first day in employment security, and who's my administrative assistant, who's just done a whale of a job there, especially during the pandemic. My deputy, who I nominated back in December of 13, I had arrived in July of 12. I got the opportunity to work with him. I knew he was a perfect fit for the deputy commissioner's position. And he's done just amazing work, outstanding work. I want to also recognize all the staff that I've had the honor and the opportunity to work with, both at Labor and at Employment Security. And we all have sleepless nights. The sleepless nights I would have is when during the pandemic, when we were in the office 7 days a week, every day of the week, day and night, and to go home at night and just basically pray that none of the people that I worked with that day came down with COVID, because we were in a closed building. There were over 200 of us in the main building. And, we answered the challenge at that time. I mean, we paid out 175,000 people at $2.058 billion with very little fraud. And like I said, we've tried to always answer the bell. It's been a distinct pleasure and honor to work with all of you. I'll miss you. And now let's get to the real important stuff today. As far as Glendy, let's start with Glendy. Come on, doesn't have to worry about Glendy. I'll be there for her. But maybe what we can do is next year, or maybe the year after, maybe we can host a council meeting at Glendy. I'm always thinking, all right?
I love it.
And as far
Lamb
as
shank.
As far as the baklava,
Lamb shank
Councilor
and
Kenny,
let's go.
the baklava, when you least expect it, and you have a council meeting, and you walk in and you see it on your table, you know who came and delivered. You're always going to be wearing greets during gifts.
I love it.
that's it. I appreciate the kind words. When I looked, I said, oh, this is great. I've got nothing on the agenda. I don't have to go to the meeting. But I appreciate all the kind words. And like I said, it's been a distinct honor and pleasure to work with all of you and all the commissioners and the directors I've had the pleasure of working with. I mean, it's been a real gift. The gift to me was the opportunity to work with each and every one of them. And I thank you all. Thank you so much. And the press. Thanks again, everybody.
I do have to have a vote on the resignation. It's a tough one, but all in favor of accepting Commissioner Kapatis's resignation, signify by saying aye. Aye. The resignation is accepted. Now moving forward with the list of confirmations, can I please have a motion to confirm Derica Oldenburg of Salem to the Department of Safety, Deputy Director of Administration?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Can I please have a motion to confirm Matthew G. Mavergeorge of Auburn to the Department of Administrative Services Director of Personnel?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Can I please have a motion to confirm Toby Reynolds of Alton to the Department of Transportation Director of Project Development?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Kenny.
Thank you, Governor. I just wanted to compliment Toby on these great hearings that we've been participating, the 10-year highway plan hearings. And Toby's been the presenter. So he's been presenting all this material throughout the state of New Hampshire, and he's done a stellar job, and he's a good communicator and very thoughtful of his answers, and he's a good complement to the team over there at DOT, which is very important. So I want to, congratulate him and wish him well in his new role.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further? Councilor Leohill.
I echo everything Councilor Kenny just said. I've been really impressed with Toby's preparation, his presentation. I think he's given all 16 of the presentations that have happened so far, and we've still got 10 more to go. And he's been good with the presentation and also able to respond. He has a wealth of knowledge about the process, and his ability to respond to questions coming from the public, I think, has also been quite skillful. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the confirmation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Can I please have a motion to confirm Jessica A. Curon of Concord to the Department of Corrections Assistant Commissioner?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Can I please have a motion to confirm John Reagan of Deerfield to the Board of Chiropractic Examiners?
I will make a motion, so I'm going to
Second.
Any discussion?
Governor, I haven't heard from John Reagan from my office, so I'm going to be voting no, primarily because usually a notification is sent out to the home, and they're supposed to get in touch via email, by phone, or some other means, and I have not heard anything from this individual.
We did obviously we give a standard package to every single person who's nominated, and we give them all of your contact information, and we ask them to reach out to every counselor because we believe that's an important part of the, obviously, confirmation process. So he would have received that information.
Thank you, Governor.
Councilor Leohill.
I also was a little flummoxed because I typically schedule a Zoom interview with each of the nominees, and we did attempt to do that and did not hear any response. So I guess I guess the practice would be to vote no, or I'd be comfortable tabling this until a later meeting, but I have not been able to make contact with this individual.
That's the council's prerogative, whatever you think is appropriate. Did Councilor Stevens have
I'll pause.
any further
comments?
discussion? If there's no further motions offered, I would just ask for a vote on the confirmation.
No?
No.
No.
Yes.
I will abstain.
Okay, well then the confirmation fails. So can I please have a motion to confirm Holly Babin of RIDE to the New Hampshire Commission for Human Rights?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Councilor Stevens, please.
Thank you, Governor. I had the pleasure of speaking with this constituent last night, and I applaud you for putting her forward. Her depth of experience is germane and perfect for this role, filling this vacancy, and tremendous progress has been made, but she's the best candidate at the right time. When I asked her about the audit, of course she did the audit. So again, great candidate. Thank you for putting her forward.
Thank you.
And I believe she may be here.
Is Holly here? Right, she was at the prior meeting. I saw her there at the Fulcino.
Ditto.
Okay. Any further comment? Councilor Kenny?
I just wanted to ditto with Council Stevens. I have to let out a secret. And you're probably all wondering what that secret is. But I was on the phone with her for 2 hours. I was looking down. She served in Iraq for 18 months, and she served with MITA. She served at the Naki Loeb Institute. She served at New Hampshire Business. By the time I got done with her resume, 2 hours had gone by. She's phenomenal. She's going to be a great asset to the Human Rights Commission, and I'm sorry it took so much time on the phone.
I've known her for a long time. I'm glad she's willing to serve. It's fantastic. Any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the confirmation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The confirmation passes. Can I please have a motion to confirm Kimberly Ann Fortin of Ware to the Board of Licensing for Alcohol and Other Drug Use Professionals?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Can I please have a motion to confirm Lisa Sporell of Wyndham to the Board of Licensing for Alcohol and Other Drug Use Professionals?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. Can I please have a motion to confirm Cindy K. Edwards of Newington to the Board of Veterinary Medicine?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Can I please have a motion to confirm Robert D. Chebuk of Manchester to the Mechanical Licensing Board?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Can I please have a motion to confirm Blaine Davis of Kentucky to the Oil Fund Disbursement Board?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 The motion carries.
Do we skip one?
Can I please have a motion to confirm Roger A. Maynard of Junior of Manchester, the Mechanical Licensing Board?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you.
Up next, we will move on to nominations. Moving on to the list of nominations, as the Commissioner of the Department of Employment and Security, I nominate Richard J. Lavers of Concord. As the Deputy Commissioner, Department of Education, I nominate Richard K. Sala of Hopkinton. To the Commission to Study Uniform State Laws, I nominate James Scully of Stratton. To the Independent Investment Committee, I nominate Christopher McBean of Hollis. To the Connecticut River Valley Resource Commission, I nominate Nicholas J. Ashew of Lyme. To the Board of Medicine, I nominate Courtney B. Jones of Concord. To the Public Employee Labor Relations Board, I nominate Brian Paquette of New Boston. To the Site Selection Committee, I nominate John Davis of Surrey. To the Enhanced 911 Commission, I nominate George F. Valaire of Gorham. To the Passenger Tramway Safety Board, I nominate J. Scott Davis of Guilford. To the Assessing Standards Board, I nominate Charles K. Reese of Deerfield. That concludes the list of nominations for today's meeting. Moving on, I ask for a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Are there any items that you'd like to remove from the agenda? Yes.
3A.
Okay. Yes.
3C for discussion.
Okay. 3C, 3A, 3C, what else?
4A through I.
4A through I, okay. 3A, 3C, 4A through I. Any further? So I ask for a motion to adopt the consent agenda, taking off 3A, 3C, and then 4A through I.
Motion.
All in favor, yes, motion second.
Second.
All in favor of those items with the exceptions I've noted.
Aye.
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 The motion carries, and now we will move on to item 3A from the Department of Information Technology. Is the commissioner here?
Need a motion, second.
Oh, so I need a motion in a second. Apologize for that.
So moved.
Second.
Now discussion on 3A. Is Commissioner Boulay here?
Is there someone from IT?
I thought I saw him at the breakfast meeting. Wasn't he at the breakfast? No, he wasn't. Is the deputy here? Yeah, I would say this, if no one's here from the Department of Information Technology, then I would say that we can either hold on this, or you certainly can table it till the next meeting.
I would just ask to hold it until he gets here.
Okay, so can we contact and see where they are? That would be great. So we will move then on to item 3C. Is there a motion and a second on item 3C from the Department of Administrative Services?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Good morning, Commissioner, and this is more of a shout out to NEPA, but I hosted a hearing for this long-term care facility in my district on September 18th, which is Webster at Rye. And NEPA is this wonderful entity that flies under the radar. And it was incredibly productive. Not only did we assist them with refinancing a HUD loan, which was problematic and costly, but when I asked them about their waiting period for nursing facility level of care needs, we had a great conversation, and working with DHHS, we were able to get those 5 folks who were waiting pending approval done. But NEPA is an organization that always steps up within my district, and just most recently, they offered a low interest loan to Gather when they broke ground open this past Friday for 18,000 square foot community food center. So more a shout out to Bonnie Payette and her teams, but you're the facilitator, so thank you.
Good. Councilor Leo.
Thank you. While you're here, Commissioner, we had a really interesting meeting this morning at the breakfast meeting talking about the MOP. and modernizing the executive council. There's been a lot of discussion. It was in the news last night, and there's been some social media today about how the executive council is still using paper like we're boomers. And I just thought it would be helpful to remind everyone that the mob is what dictates how information comes to the executive council. And so while it looks to be a discussion about whether we should have stacks of paper or not, what we're actually talking about is who gets to decide what material, what content comes to the executive council so that we can make our decisions. The executive council is unique to New Hampshire, providing an additional avenue for the people to exercise oversight of state government. As a check and balance on the governor, it's natural for a governor to want to limit the council's power and to limit the type of material that comes to us. Governor Ayotte made some changes to the information being presented to the executive council about state business over the summer, including some changes to information that used to come forward with regard to nonprofits that wanted to engage in business with state government. Previously, we received audited financial statements, the names of boards of directors, resumes of key personnel, mission statements for nonprofit organizations. We received a memo over the summer that the executive council would no longer receive that background information, in addition to a number of other unilateral changes. This is really about power and control. It's a tug of war between the two co-equal parts of New Hampshire's executive branch, literally seated here at the table. Our founders adopted the executive council as part of our form of government because they were inherently suspicious of a unitary executive, the governor. Our state is anti-tyrannical to its core, and the existence of the executive council is proof. Many New Hampshire governors have tried to undermine the authority of the executive council over the years, and they have failed. So I think I want to make it clear that I completely agree with the goal of modernizing our state government, making sure that all people have access to the documents, that the public has access to the documents that they need to exercise oversight, and that we, as representatives of the public, have access to the documents we need to do our jobs and foster transparency. But I do not agree with some of the unilateral changes that the governor has brought forward, and that is really, I believe, what this discussion is about. So thank you for the conversation this morning, and I look forward to continuing it. Thank you.
Okay,
Commissioner, I have a question.
yes.
Are any of the things that were just listed part of the MOP?
I would want to look at her list in detail, but I don't think so.
Are we complying with the MOP?
Yes.
Yes, of course, which is what laid out in terms of what's required, and we are absolutely complying with that. As we look at this, are there ways that we could make this process better, more efficient, more transparent for the people and for doing business with the state? Is that what we discussed this morning?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I have a question for the Commissioner while he's here.
I feel like I'm a chalkboard that everyone's writing on.
You were here, Charlie. The information that we're not getting more, traditionally we've had that for 20 or 30 years, is that correct?
I don't know the timing, but some of the information, yes. I mean, there are, as councilors know, there are changes made periodically by governors to some of the pieces of the process and not in the MOP. And this has been one of them.
Is it true that we're no longer getting the certificate of good standing from the Secretary of State?
I believe that you're not given a copy of that, no.
How about a copy of, in whatever form it comes, the authority from a board of directors for the person to sign the contracts with the state? Do we see a copy of that anymore?
No, they're just anyone listening that's not as familiar with the process as you are, but they're shown to the Attorney General's office when they review the contract or a form and substance. So it's not like they're not done. And nowhere to in fact look at them.
And are we getting copies of the insurance binders anymore, or copy of the surety bonds or performance bonds?
Again, the Attorney General does, but I don't believe you can.
And the Attorney General always has, but the council used to get it as well. Isn't that correct?
And I believe it is.
Thank you.
There's a detailed list that the Attorney General goes through. All those items are checked and double checked. And as I understand it, the certificate of good standing is something that we can put online. I think we did for this meeting, and we're gonna add to what could be put online that the public couldn't see before, so that we can make this a more open process for the public. And, you know, Commissioner, how many pages are we printing in all this? It's a lot of paper, isn't it?
Well,
We could reduce that?
something like, I'm sure he knows the number, like 1.3 million a year.
Yeah.
Rich?
So we hopefully can work together to not have a pile of paperwork, but to really make this a better process. Any further questions from the Commissioner? Thank you, appreciate it. All in favor of item, I believe we are on item 3C, correct me if I'm wrong. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The item carries. And now we are moving on to, I believe you had items 4A through I. So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Good morning, Governor and Councilors. My name is Nicole Desley-Bixler. I'm the Deputy Adjutant General for the Department of Military Affairs and Veterans Services.
Good morning, General. Thank you. We are now into the third week of the federal government shutdown. At our last executive council meeting, the Adjutant General told us that there were 500 people, including civilians, who were reporting for duty with no pay. Can you please provide an update on that?
Yes, ma'am. Our AGRs, so as you know, we have several statuses. Our AGRs did get paid for this period. That's on the air side and on the Army side. Our Title V's and Title 32 technicians, we have approximately 200 on the air side, 200 on the Army side. They did receive about 75% of their normal paycheck at the last paycheck because the shutdown occurred in the middle of the pay period. So going forward, we're unsure as to what's going to happen.
But the 75% of their last paycheck,
Right.
so 400 people received 75% of their last paycheck, presumably prorated up until the last day that the government was opened.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And so it seems safe to say that they're not.
Right now, we're working without
working
pay.
without pay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I find that unacceptable.
Any further discussions? Let me just say I find it unacceptable too. And if Washington can get their act together and get the funding passed, then that would make a lot of sense. I think we can all agree on that. It would be the right thing to do. All in favor of items A through I signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The items carry. I just wanted to note we've gotten a notification from the Department of DOIT that the Commissioner has had a family situation, emergency, so he is not able to be present. So that is what is happening, and so we can hold on this for now. I didn't know if anyone else in the department, Morgan, if anyone else in the department was able to. I guess that he would be the point person on item 3A, so if there is we can either hold and
Can we, I appreciate that. I think we should table it. There's questions I want to ask of the Commissioner himself, and I don't want to interrupt that thing. We should sit, I move to table that.
Second.
It seems since it's a report, there's not going to be any kind of situation, so that seems appropriate in terms of services. So all in favor of the tabling motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The item is tabled. Thank you. Moving on to the regular agenda. I ask for a motion to adopt agenda items 6 through 16A from the Department of Transportation.
So, second.
Any discussion? Councilor Leon. Commissioner?
Good morning, Governor and Councilors. William Katz for the New Hampshire Department of Transportation.
Good morning, Commissioner. It's nice to be with you in Bethlehem last night for one of our GASIT hearings, late night, early morning. I have a question on 16A. This is the item for Charlestown to rebuild some of the road that had been washed away, the slope failure there going down to the Connecticut River. And I'm glad to see it come forward. When we met with the select board and other members of the community over the summer, they were very concerned to make sure, right now it's been down to one-way traffic for quite some time, and they were very concerned to make sure that this project would be able to be done before winter, or at least that two-way traffic would be able to be reopened for the winter, and they were also particularly concerned about the impact on school buses during construction because the alternate route is just very circuitous and would really cause a problem for the children in Charlestown. Can you give a little update on this project, please?
Right. So some of the history is there with the slope failure that happened in the rainstorm last May. But for the construction going forward, right now, since that storm in May, it's been down to alternating one lane of traffic controlled by temporary signals at either end of the slope failure. So we are going to be, so the work to stabilize the slope is taking place down in the floodplain, down at the toe of the slope and building back up. So where there is barrier there today, all that work is going to be happening behind the barrier. So throughout construction, other than maybe some occasional lane closure to get a truck in or out, we're going to be continuing to maintain alternating one-way traffic controlled by the signals until the slope is stabilized and the road can be fully reopened. We understand the contractor is pretty committed to doing the work. We've heard verbally their goal is to get done by Christmas, so that would be very good. We have a completion date of, I think it's April. That's mostly to do any final paving in the spring and any cleanup, but our goal would be to work until the slope is built up and the road can be open to two-way traffic. Hopefully by the end of December, or certainly before hard winter sets in.
So it sounds like the school buses and traffic will not be further disrupted by the construction project.
That's correct.
That's good to hear. Thank you, and I guess we'll hope for no early storms so that this project can keep going.
Correct, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Any further, Councilor Stevens?
Agenda item 16. This is the General Sullivan Bridge in the district which connects my district to Councilor Kenny's. And the state of this bridge, we've gotten to the point where we have to demolish. This project has gone through a myriad of iterations. We've transitioned from new construction to deconstruction. The project paused in 23 after a bid of $82.2 million was received, which was more than double of the $40 million that the DOT had expected. So it's critical that this happen now. As you pointed out, the bridge has loose pieces on the concrete deck and steel members that pose a risk to the marine traffic passing under the bridge. We know Little Bay Marina alone has 135 slips, and the Keys Development Authority has over 500 moorings scattered up and down the Piscataqua. So we have to be concerned about our boat traffic going under the bridge, correct?
Correct.
And the sooner we have this underway, we're going to enhance safety, maritime safety, correct?
Correct.
Great. That's all.
Now we are concerned about the condition of the bridge. Not only is it an eyesore there, but it's It's been fully closed since 2018, and we feel it needs to be addressed sooner rather than later. So, and you mentioned some of the history. It does have history of trying to bid and do things. We bid twice as a demolition and a superstructure replacement. Those both came in extremely high bids, and we dropped back to at least pursue the demolition at this time, and see about any permanent changes to the bike ped connections at some point in the future. But our focus is on addressing the condition and removing that what we see as a growing hazard.
And the dismantling, as a follow-up, is attributed to accessing the bridge, but also the currents going through under the bridge from Great Bay into the Scat Point reverse, correct?
It's a difficult channel to work in and around, definitely. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Any further questions? Councilor Stephen.
I had a few items. I'll start with 16 since we were right on it. Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate your staff taking the time yesterday to meet with me. And again, I'm going to continue on my crusade to try to find highway fund dollars here and prioritize them the correct way. And I understand there are some safety concerns. This bridge has been closed since 1984.
It's been fully closed since 2018. It was closed to traffic in 1984. Yes.
And I understand it's a $28 million plus item. However, I saw a news article where $20 million was received and earmarked. And I want to be clear that you're only using $10 million out of that $20 million for this particular item.
That's correct.
So there's $10 million extra, and if this item were not to go forward, there'd be $10 million there that could be redirected, and you may get clawback. We don't know, but you can submit a letter to the Department of Transportation Federal to ask if those funds can be used for other highway priorities. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And because we haven't got to the point of the gas adherence prioritization, I'm going to make a motion to table this item. And that's going to be my motion.
Second.
Before that, I would like to give Councilor Kenny an opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Governor. So this, obviously, bridge issue has been out there for quite a long time. And I do remember seeing, 4 federal delegation members in front of that bridge a couple of years ago, saying, they earmarked $20 million for that project. So, Commissioner, you mentioned that $10 million might be redirected to potentially another, project within the DOT system. But isn't it true that this will be in the 10-year highway plan, this particular project, and that if it were approved, that you would start work next year?
It currently is. It's in the existing, it's in the present 10-year highway plan. And if we go ahead with the award of the contract, we get started as soon as this fall to get going. There are in-water work restrictions, so if there are any access to or through within the river area, those are typically restricted to November through May. So timing-wise, some of those things are important. If I can just explain a little bit about you used an earmark and stuff like that. What we applied for was a raised grant. So it was a discretionary grant that we applied for, and we were awarded, but we have not received. So we do not get it's not like money has come to us. We do not get the grant unless the project moves forward. It was $20 million for the full project. The project was originally demolition of the existing General Sullivan Bridge and a superstructure replacement to accommodate bicycles and pedestrians across the Little Bay. That project, as I said, came in very, very expensive. So the original grant was probably for about a third of the project. It was $20 million out of about, our estimate was close to 60, and it became an $80 million project when it bid. And it was also for those two components. And from what we understand, the feedback that we got, the community connections, the bicycle pedestrian connections, and things like that were an important criteria that were part of the award of that grant. So when you say, Councilor Stephen, the $10 million, our strategy is to still pursue the grant, but given the fact that we're doing about half of the project, we're only doing the demolition and not the superstructure replacement, and that the original grant was not for fully funding the project, the original grant was for approximately a third of what we estimated. We are submitting the grant, the grant agreement with that amount, as close to possible as the original grant conditions to give us the best chance of them looking on that favorably. So that's where the $10 million came from. You know, right now the work of just the demolition is about half of what the original project scope was, and the original scope of the original grant amount was about a third of the total project cost, and $10 million is roughly a third of the demolition cost. So we think that's the best strategy to.
So Commissioner, and I appreciate that explanation. So if we approve this contract, you would apply for that $20 million of raised grant money for this project. But what would you do with that other $10 million that you would not
Part
use?
of the grant agreement, we are exactly what Councilor Stephen was saying. We are asking to allocate that to other improvements. So we still feel, so the pedestrian bicycle accommodation that's on the northbound barrel was done as an interim measure. We think that if that's going to be in place, which we think it will be for the foreseeable future, there need to be some more permanent improvements to that. The barrier was not locked into the pavement, it wasn't bolted down, it's just there by gravity and the connectivity. And at either end are probably less than optimal tie-ins and things like that. The feedback we've heard from Federal Highway is and we're talking with staff and not the Office of the Secretary, but the feedback that we're hearing from the staff is that is probably, it's worth asking, but they don't think that will be looked on favorable because of the uncertainty and things like that. I get the impression that the federal government, that they're looking to put these grants to work. The current administration has made comments that there are too many grant awards and nothing going forward. That's another reason why we think, putting this grant forward now with this project, we can make the case that you award this grant, it's going to have immediate expenditures, it's going to go right to work. So we think that's a good sell.
So when I'm reading, the contract, it says 100% federal funds, but in reality, that's not quite accurate. Is that true? That it's an 80-20 match?
It is an 80-20 match, but we are using turnpike toll credits to like we do with everything else to match those type of dollars. So it is 100% federal funds. It's a turnpike asset. It really should be. In a clean sense of the word, most of the Newington-Dover project was a turnpike-sponsored project, but we had the opportunity with the federal grant and with some other federal bridge dollars to apply federal dollars to that. We think that's the most prudent measure given the status of the turnpike finances.
So my last question is really all the money that we've raised, if you will, for this particular project will stay in that immediate area?
It will, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Yeah, if I can just ask one more.
Councilor Stephen?
Just to clarify, so I appreciate Councilor Kennedy's question. I just want to, we're obviously in a very difficult situation in the highway. Your department has told us we're about $400 million shy, okay? We have to start making priority decisions.
Sure.
Strategic priority decisions. If we're going to live within our means, and if there is going to be no toll increase and no gas tax increase, we've got to stop spending money in areas that are not top priority. We haven't made that decision as a council and to submit to the governor our plan yet. If we were to table this, to identify where does this fit in the priority if we live within our means, is that going to hurt this potential project if later on we feel it's one of those priorities? And can it be tabled for a little while?
I think it will. One of the concerns we had was the in-water work window. We also have limited time for the contractor being obligated to hold their bid. So if this gets tabled indefinitely, I fully expect the contractor would hold their bids and not honor it. We'd have to if it does move forward, re-advertise it for a fourth time. And given the fact that this is the third time we've advertised and tried to get that done, I think we are losing credibility with the contracting community with regard to this contract. As far as it being a priority, I would say this is definitely one of the priorities. Taking care of this deficient bridge and removing it is definitely a priority that needs to be done. We need to take care of it. We need to take care of it. It can't sit there for indefinitely. And this is an opportunity to do that. So.
Councilor Stevens?
Commissioners, the longer we defer, will the cost for demolition escalate? Will they increase?
Most certainly it would.
Do we increase the risks to boats traveling underneath the bridge, either from Little Bay to the Piscataqua back and forth? Again, we have working vessels going in and out of there year round, and as you know, the recreational use, our marinas are booming during this season. Liability for the state, if we knew the state of disrepair and did not act, what sort of liabilities are we exposing the state to?
Those are all good comments. Those are all the concerns that we have and why we move it ahead. And I'll tell you, forgive me if I go on too long, but when we first, 2 years ago, or a year ago when we didn't award it the second time, one of the thoughts I had was that we come back and revisit this in a number of years. I had my bridge design folks, come to me with very real concerns that it hadn't had a detailed inspection since 2016. It's in a marine environment. We've had experience with the Memorial Bridge that the rapid deterioration in the marine environment is very unpredictable. So for all those reasons, we felt it was prudent to move ahead with trying to address the disposition of the bridge now rather than wait.
Thank you.
Well,
So I just would like to add, I appreciate the Councilor Stevens' concern about having enough money for our turnpike system and transportation overall. But one of the things that I see in this contract is that it's going to be a job creator for the region. And my sense is that delay is going to cost more money. And my sense is that this has been hanging out there for so long that any movement going forward is considered progress. So I'm more apt to oppose the tabling motion and to move this contract forward because I think ultimately it's the right thing to do.
I see that we have, I think we have further discussion on this.
Yeah.
We'll introduce the children and then we'll have further discussion if that works. So who do we have with us, Virginia?
So we have students that are.
Maybe some more questions for the commissioner about the project. Councilor Wheeler.
Commissioner, could we just delay this project till the next meeting? This vote till the next meeting, to gather a little bit more information from Washington? And this happens to be one of the items where the council has been denied the information that we asked for at the meeting at Fulcino's.
So yeah, if it's not indefinite, it's just a 2-week, and we can hopefully move it at the next meeting. But the contractor still hold all those bids and stuff, and I can get you the certificate of good standing and stuff. I honestly wasn't. It wasn't clear to me that it wasn't included, but we can get through all that. And any other questions? We mentioned additional information from Washington. We can try. We've been dealing with staff, getting clear answers from Washington on these grant things has been a challenge, I will say that. So.
Thank you.
Councilor Leo Hill.
Thank you. What does the green mean?
I don't know, it's flashing, I'm not sure.
Oh, there you go.
Commissioner, we've talked about the likelihood that delays would increase the cost of the project. And then can you also talk about, is there a risk to losing these particular federal funds if the project is delayed?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I mean, there's a risk right now to losing federal funds. It's very, like I said, the grants are very uncertain. We're trying to put our best foot forward with this revised contract and revised ask at, as the original project that the grant was awarded for has certainly changed, so.
I think, honestly, I think given the risks with this project, I would be concerned even about a 2-week delay. I think we have what we need to move forward with this at the present time, so I would not favor a motion to table at this time.
Councilor Stevens?
And I appreciate Councilor Wheeler's concern. I just looked up on the Secretary of State's office. They are in good standing. I do not have a certificate, but it is showing electronically, sir. So if that alleviates any concern.
Any other questions or comments at this point?
Just another comment. So Commissioner, this is in the 10-year highway plan now.
Correct.
So it's not like we're trying to introduce it into the 10-year highway plan through the GASIT process, correct?
That's correct.
So it's really on its way?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can I follow up on that?
Councilor Stevens?
This is important because we're going through this process, Councilor Kenny, I'm glad you raised it. I mean, we're talking $18 million here that is in the plan now that could be used elsewhere. Let's just say they claw back the 10 million, 18 towards that deficit that we need to determine all these other projects, and some projects are going to be out, but that we have that authority when we submit to the governor what our plan is. And we haven't even had a chance to meet with your staff on our own prioritization.
Sure.
And so that's all I'm saying. There's $18 million here that could be used for other projects, even if it was a clawback. And there's possibly another 10, if the federal government were to say we could use it for those other projects in yours and Councilor Stevens' area that are in the plan, this can be changed. That's what I've learned from the DOT staff.
The one thing I would point out, when we're talking about priorities in the 10-year plan, we're talking about 2027 to 2036 looking forward. I think the point that you made, Councilor, was the project is in the existing plan, it's in the priorities that had previously been established, and from our priorities that we've set forth in the 10-year plan, when we talked about the ratings and how we categorize projects that should be in or projects that were out, one of the elements that we used to establish those priorities was looking at the risk to the department. And one of the risks was financial risk, taking into account the amount of resources that have already been put into the project to bring it along to where it is. So indirectly, if this project didn't go forward, the savings would go to other projects. I don't know if it would necessarily go to projects in 2027 or beyond. So,
Councilor Leo Hill, and then I think we have a tabling motion so that we should vote on that further. Go ahead.
Thank you. If we were to push this project off, is it possible that this could get pushed off, that the delay could cause this project to then end up in the 2027 to 2036 10-year plan and then further increase the deficit that we're trying to deal with within the next 10-year plan? Because projects that don't get completed in the current 10-year plan then have to sometimes get, if they can't be put off indefinitely, have to get dealt with in the next iteration of the 10-year plan. So we could actually, by not approving this project now with the funds that are available now at the cost that the contractors have agreed to now, we could risk the federal funds, risk the project increasing, and potentially risk increasing the deficit of the $400 million deficit that we're already looking at for the next 10-year plan. Is that correct?
I would say so. As you get back to my original statement with this, I do think this is an issue that needs to be dealt with. We need to address this bridge that's just sitting there and deteriorating. So.
Thank you.
Councilor Stevens.
Just my final statement.
Stevens, I apologize.
we've been down this path before with bridges and the Coast Guard mandating navigation studies, correct? So there's a likelihood if we stall that additional permitting requirements could be made on us, correct?
There's a possibility, yes.
And those can take years. Permitting, last time the FEIS was done was in 2007. So that could phase out. We may have to start additional permitting, correct, if we stall.
That's true. The current permit that we have for the work expires in 2027, so if it's delayed further and we have to come back and address it on a future date, we would have to go through re-permitting things as well, too.
Thank you.
Councilor Wheeler.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about a delay here, but the commissioner consented that it'd be okay to delay this for 2 weeks. I think when Councilor Stephen has a concern, we should give him 2 weeks to look into that concern. Take those 2 weeks and see if we can get a better answer from the feds on this, and then vote on it. And then by then we would also have missing information, and we can move forward. As far as myself is concerned, I will be ready to vote on this at the next meeting.
Any further questions or discussion? I think we have a tabling motion, so let me ask first, all in favor of the tabling motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion fails. Is there any, assuming there's no further discussion on the item itself?
On the transportation items, I move the table items 16 and 16A.
Okay, so you just had a tabling motion though on item 16, so I think that's
That was
already been.
15, wasn't it?
No, 16, so that's
So I
already
mean
been
15
decided.
and 16A.
Okay, so you have a tabling motion on items 15 and 16A, okay. Is there a second? No second, then there's no tabling motion. Okay, so, okay,
For discussion.
is there discussion?
We don't discuss the tabling motion.
Okay, is there a vote then on the tabling motion? All in favor of the tabling motion on, I believe you said 15 and 16A, correct, Councilor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So items 15 and 16A are tabled. So now we will.
What's the vote on that? It was 3, apparently?
Apparently 3 on items 15 and 16A.
Well, you can ask me a question now.
I do not understand why the people of Charlestown, who have been struggling with this situation, should have to suffer for no reason.
Well, the reason is that the department has not given this council the information we need to make a good decision. We need the information. We need to know who the principals are. We need to spot check and see, gee, maybe one of those principals butted the bread with a campaign contribution somewhere. We need all the information we need to make good decisions. We asked for it unanimously at the last meeting, and we didn't get it.
Commissioner, is this going to delay this project and possibly make it possible that it will not be completed before winter?
The 16A, yes. We're waiting to get started on that.
I understand your concerns. I share your frustrations, but it is not right for my constituents to be used as collateral.
Okay. Councilor, let me just say here, first of all, we have the remaining items. We're gonna go back to the discussion. Let me just clarify this as well. That isn't even the discussion of what you've traditionally gotten, just so you know. For-profits, it's different than nonprofits, so I'm not even sure what the discussion is here, but.
That's not true.
So that information hasn't changed. So we, other than the certificate of good standing and the one in terms of who can contract, which we're going to put online. But again, this is your decision. You want to make that. If you don't want to just work together and figure out how to make sure that this is more transparent, less paperwork, I understand. So why don't, at this point, we have a school group here, which I would love to welcome. And who do we have here, Sean?
Started in 1962. It's a major thoroughfare for this community. loss of this bridge would impede safety and economic development and growth in the community. I understand Councilor Wheeler's frustration with not getting his documents, but it's putting, again, the vitality of the community at risk.
Councilor Wheeler.
Thank you. Earlier this year, we approved millions of dollars of funds to support a new initiative at Whalen Industries in Charlestown, which is a major leading manufacturer and in advanced manufacturing. That community is completely constrained by having Route 12, which is the only major, which is a major state roadway, down to one-lane traffic. This is making people's lives hard already, and right now, this motion to table is going to make lives harder for the people, for the children of Charlestown, for the business owners of Charlestown, and for our state economy. For I understand for reasons that are reasonable, and yet this is going to have a real impact on the people of Charlestown who have been waiting patiently for this project to come forward, and here it is, and we are literally at the very end of construction season. Any delay is going to compromise the possibility of this project being done in a reasonable time frame. This is not one of those projects that can be put off without consequence. The children of Charlestown, the business community of Charlestown, they are going to pay the price, and I'm deeply disappointed.
Councilor Wheeler.
Governor, I would just add that I am willing to come back here for a special meeting, a phone poll meeting on items that we did not get the information on, as soon as we get that information and have a day to digest it. So we're not talking about long-term delays, but we can't make reasonable, responsible decisions without all the information this council needs to make them.
You know what, can I send them to you online?
Sure.
That would be terrific.
We could have a phone poll and vote on the items.
But we have to
Maybe
post
we
it,
could,
Governor.
We
we're
have to
happy to
post
post it, we'd always post any meeting, because that's what we do. You know, it's just, I know change is hard, but we're gonna have some change. So let's, we have remaining with us, with the exception of items 15 and 16A, we have the remaining items, and I would ask for a motion, a vote on those items, accepting the items that have been tabled.
I have questions 11 and 12.
Oh, you do, okay.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
very brief.
Okay. Councilor Stephen?
Commissioner, this, you know, I don't have any problems with 11 and 12 in terms of voting for it, but I had a concern when I read this. When I look at these contracts where we're selling property, I mean, I just have to ask you, you know, this one is Gilmanton, and the other one is Salem. The Salem one is $107,000. Gilmanton's like $25,000. And I understand that, I like the fact that we're collaborative, working and giving the right of first refusal basically to a town. You're calling the town. But I just find it unacceptable here to read that we contacted the town of Gilmanton, your office, and the phone was, or the call was unanswered, and then there's no response from Gilmanton. I always look to see what did the town say. And then the town of Salem, no response. $107,000 piece of property. I'm gonna support these items, okay? But I just wanna make sure in the future, is it your office or is it the town's? You work so closely with these towns.
Yeah.
Why are we getting information that is unanswered?
I can look into that. Typically, I didn't read that closely, it's a phone call. Typically, we will send a letter to them to New Hampshire Housing Finance. We usually give them 30 days to respond. And that's what I would believe would be typically the non-response. That would send them a hard copy, that would send them a letter. Usually there is dialogue with the community about these properties.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I just want you to know, when I see these sale items,
Sure.
the first thing I look to is, what did the town say?
Right.
And I want to see that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Certainly.
That's all.
Any further, Councilor Stevens?
Commissioner, agenda item 11, this is the sale of 1.6 acres in Gilmanton, and the file that is referenced is 4051, yet going online, I note that 4051 is referenced as 3.1 acre lot. So my question is, are we carving up this lot to accommodate this buyer? Is it in this, can you confirm that? The original parcel size?
Well, I'll have to look into it if it is a discrepancy in size, but we're not carving the parcel up. I mean, so the parcel that's being sold that was asked for was a piece of the old right of way. When we relocated 140, you can see in the parcel of the old plans that were there. That is the parcel of land that is in question. So we're not carving it up. It was a remnant piece of old right-of-way when we relocated and straight out the road.
But it was not part of a 3.1 acre lot.
It may have been very originally, going back to when that part of the original road was built. I'd have to check that in more detail.
Yeah, please do this. On the index, it's referenced as a 3 acre lot, and I hate to see us carving up lots to, not maximizing the value of these lots. Thank you.
Any further questions of the Commissioner? Then I would ask for a vote on all items except 15 and 16A, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The items carry. Would now move on to item 17 from the Commission on Disability.
So moved.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Would ask for a motion. Wait a second here. Ordering message or something? Can I just yours? I ask for a motion to adopt agenda 18 from the Office of Professional Licensure and Certification.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries.
You want my paper?
No.
Okay.
I think this is like, a jinx. I've used this plenty of times, so. I'm gonna give that.
Are you breaking all your computers?
I'm breaking them, I think, because it was I think that, Councilor Wheeler put the hex on my computer. So,
Sorry.
okay.
Bad comment.
All right, now here we are. I asked for a motion to adopt agenda items 19 through 21 for the Department of Agriculture, Markets, and Food.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Wheeler.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just a quickie, the grants on item 19, are they gonna come back to the council? This is basically just accepting the money?
This is authorizing it to be awarded, I believe. So the grant program, we're in the process now of doing the review. The awards for the grants will come back to the council for approval once we have executed the agreement. So you'll be seeing those sometime in the future, probably not till sometime early next year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion for the commissioner? All in favor of the item signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The items carry. I ask for a motion to adopt agenda item 22 from the Department of Corrections.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Stevens?
Commissioner.
Sorry, it took me a while to get up here. It's my very first meeting. Please accept my apology.
Good morning, Commissioner. Thank you for the update on the status of the Vine system. I'm very impressed, and I'm speaking on behalf of victims of violent crimes throughout the state. Thank you, well done. The date that you were sworn in, can you refresh my memory?
September 2nd.
And the system was up and running on September 8th?
That's correct.
Brilliant, well done, thank you.
Let me be clear. That was other folks who did that work. It was a priority outlined in the hearing, but other folks at VOC made that happen. So thank you to them.
And as a follow-up, you've had the pleasure of meeting the brilliant dedicated nurses, correct?
Yes, I have.
Thank you. They're very dedicated and it means the world to them.
Happy to do it. Look to it as part of the job.
Thank you.
Any, Councilor Stevens?
Thank you, Governor. Commissioner, this contract came to us earlier before your tenure, and it was defeated on a motion because there were issues with the contractor. And at that time, we asked Commissioner Hanks what process was used to vet the contractor, and it's something that's really important to us. And she had sent an email to me at that time that said, the following will be added to the transmittal letter signed by the vendor. And in there, there's a list of items which the vendor must sign and agree that either the affiliate, the vendor, his principal office holders, individuals in that company have not, within the past 2 years, been convicted or pled guilty to certain crimes, which I thought was excellent, something different than any other that I've seen in the department. Also, whether there's any subject to any order of the Department of Labor, and I can go on and on. I have this document. I did not see that in here, and she said the following will be added to the transmittal letter. Was that process followed? I know it's a different commissioner, but I think it was really important, and I talked to other councils, and they really liked receiving this. And I think it's something other departments should look at.
I can't answer the question, but what I can say is that based on what you've read to me, I agree with you. It sounds like an outstanding vetting process, and I will assure you that going forward, all of our contracts with all of our vendors will meet that standard. And I'll find out whether this was included in this contract and make sure that
So, as a follow-up, if we were to table this item until you can bring that forward, does that damage any type of efficiency, delivery, courier services as a problem?
yes, can I ask for help?
So this, we can bring it to the next meeting would be okay.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to table to the next meeting. Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Second.
And if I, well, after we vote, I have a comment.
If I may ask a question as well, so Councilor, that is something that I think we could make sure that every state agency asks, because it's an important question for sure.
And yeah, there are a number of items I didn't read, but it's very, very, I would say, something every agency should do.
Right, but I think it's been inconsistently
Correct.
practiced, so if we had that as a standard question, it would be a good idea, so
And
appreciate
have
it.
them sign it.
Yeah. All in favor of the tabling motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Tabling motion is granted. Councilor,
Just a comment on this item, while they're getting that other information, could they please give us the information the council asked? This is another item that we did not get the appropriate information.
I'm confused, Councilor.
Certificate
I
of
see,
good
I see,
standing, insurance binders, the authorization, whoever signs this, if it's a corporation.
We'll get that for you. Absolutely.
The stuff we've always gotten, we would like it back.
we're gonna get that online too, especially the certificate of good standing, as you know, is already online, but we'll link it to these. So that item has been tabled. And we will now move on to, I asked for a motion to adopt agenda items 24 and 26 through 30 from the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources.
Councilor, 23.
Yeah. Oh, I apologize, let me go back to 23. 23, I asked for a motion to adopt agenda item 23 from the Fish and Game Department.
Second.
Any discussion on that item? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The item carries. Now I go to the motion, ask for a motion to adopt agenda items 24 and 26 through 30 from the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
You took off 25, is that, you said 24 and 26 through 30, is that what our motion is?
Yeah, 25 was pulled, yes.
Okay.
Any discussion, Councilor Ewing?
I move to table 27 and 29.
Second.
So that's a tabling motion, so there's no discussion on the tabling motion. So is there, I would ask for a vote on, I believe you said 27 and 29?
Yes.
All in favor of the tabling motion on 27 and 29 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay, those items are tabled. Now we will go back to the remaining items that, with the exception of items 27 and 29, any discussion on the remaining items?
Yes.
Good morning, Sarah Stewart, Commissioner of the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources.
Thank you, Commissioner. Can you please, I believe we received an email from Jace Worth about the mobile fencing. Can you please tell us, I know it's after the fact, but since I wasn't able to ask a question because the tabling motion is not debatable, what is going to be the impact of of tabling number 27 and number 29?
Thank you. I'm looking at number 27, and this is the temporary fencing up at, right, this is mobile fencing up at Artist Bluff. So as we all know, foliage in New Hampshire is a spectacle not to be missed. And we want to welcome as many people as possible, especially in the North Country. And Artist Bluff has, over the years, become a very phenomenal place to get an Instagram-worthy picture. And for that reason, it's been overcrowded over recent years. So we've been putting a lot of thought into creating a safer, cleaner, and friendlier environment for our visitors. And this fencing was critical to that plan. It worked really well. We got great coverage from our media throughout the state to see if our changes worked, and I'm proud to say that by all accounts, it worked really well, and the fencing was really important so that people knew where to walk and be safe.
So the vendor provided the service that was needed.
Correct.
It was, it proved to be useful.
Yes.
And now they are not going to be paid for the services that they provided.
And it did come just shy of $10,000, but we all agreed it was significant enough to bring it to council. And I apologize that it's retro. As you know, running an operational facility, there's a lot of moving parts, and we try to avoid retro as often as possible. But in this case, we felt very strongly to move forward with securing that property for the thousands of people who came.
Thank you. Can you talk for just a minute about your department was really impacted by the budget that was passed in June, with budget cuts severely affecting one of your divisions. And also, I believe your department is being significantly impacted by the hiring freeze right now. So you are actually wearing a number of hats, is that correct? Can you talk about staffing in your department and the state of affairs at the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources?
I am always happy to talk about the state of affairs. So a couple of things. Everyone's budget was critically analyzed to be efficient and maintain as much programs as possible for our constituents. And yes, during the budget process, we have 5 divisions in our agency. Parks and Recreation is operationally self-funded, which is a blessing in a situation like this. So when you see an item from Parks, most likely it came from patrons who have paid a small fee to get into one of our many state parks. The other divisions rely on a patchwork quilt of funding, if you will, and that includes state funding, federal match, grants, other federal programs, and when the general fund is cut, that of course affects other funds that rely on a match for general funds. So, big story, yes. My agency received a 22% cut in general funds. We've done the best that we can to make sure that our constituents aren't skipping a beat. But we currently have, out of 5 divisions, a vacancy as a state librarian, a vacancy for a state parks director, and we've been just really careful about not wanting to staff up when our budget is so tight.
And so when there's no state librarian or when there's no director of state parks, who has to do those duties that are not otherwise going to be done?
So we're asking a lot more from our staff. And I'm very grateful to our staff that is mission driven and steps up to the plate to put more into their job. And many of our state employees, SJVs, there's a line that says, and duties as assigned. And we've been very liberal with that. But I'm now in a position as commissioner where I am approving time cards of employees that don't work beneath me in my physical location, who should really be managed by a director level system. We'll get there, but right now we're doing more with less, and that includes my oversight in various divisions.
And with regard to agenda item number 29, this is a lease agreement with New England Power. Are these some of the other funds that you were mentioning that come in and provide revenue to the department to help carry out the activities of your department?
Yes, we in my division, through our Division of Forests and Lands, we manage a lot of the most rugged mountaintops in the state of New Hampshire, and that's the best place for communication towers. And so we have staff committed to vetting those communication bids and working to make sure that they're safe and powered correctly, and we receive revenue. And so our staff that works on the communication towers work based on the revenue that we've been collecting. We work really hard to make sure that our fees are market rate and fair for the citizens of New Hampshire. And so yes, this is an example of like random revenue that we are able to produce to be more self-sufficient as an agency.
Great, thank you. One last question. Is it correct that New Hampshire is now last in the nation in terms of state funding for public art? Yes.
Thank you.
Any further discussion or questions for the commissioner? Hearing none, all in favor of the NCR items, accepting items 27 and 29, which have been tabled, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The remaining items carry.
And 25 is withdrawn, is that correct?
25, as indicated on the agenda, is withdrawn.
Thank you.
I ask for a motion to adopt agenda items 31 through 60 from the Department of Environmental Services.
So moved.
Any discussion? Councilor Leohill.
Governor, Councilors, Bob Scott, Department of Environmental Services.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Scott. I just a request for some additional information. I'm interested in the ARM fund, and I wonder if you could provide, and this could be outside the meeting, not right now, but I'm interested to know, I guess to get a little briefing on the ARM funds, how they're distributed, whether they are, and questions about whether they are, they're typically assessed, if they come from a penalty when wetlands are disturbed, are they usually reallocated or allocated to projects that are within the same watershed where those other wetlands were disturbed? Can I have a map? I'd be interested to know about the distributions, let's say for the last, I don't know what a reasonable period of time is, 5 years, something like that, to see where the ARM funds come from and where they are distributed to. Thank you.
I'd be happy to provide the council with a document like that. We're part of the program. Just to clarify, they're not penalties, it's called an in lieu of program. So rather than tell the developer, look, you're impacting, so you can't do anything, period, this provides an alternative that's environmentally friendly.
Thank you for that clarification.
Councilor Stevens.
Good morning, Commissioner. I just want to touch base on a recent award, and that is $8 million from the $56 million statewide settlement with 3M for PFAS groundwater contamination here in the state of New Hampshire. And I want to give a shout out to Chris Aslan and the Attorney General for their hard work. Chris Aslan is someone who always responds to phone calls and emails any time of day or night, weekends, you name it. But we know that the Drinking Water and Groundwater Trust Fund Advisory Commission is charged with the allocation of this first disbursement of $8 million. Getting a lot of phone calls from folks in my district, as you know, who have been hit hard by Coakley. So we will be getting updates, correct, on how this process is going to proceed, when the portal will be set up to apply, correct?
Yeah, so the trust fund, we've been to the trust fund a few times. The settlement money's coming in has been delayed considerably. We thought we'd see it last year, it's just now coming in. So the trust fund had already agreed to, the monies would be distributed by the department, allocated based upon the water system's cost, if you will. So we're just to be clear, we're not talking settlement funds. We're not talking a dollar for dollar unfortunately, for the systems. But again, as you mentioned, due to the good work of the Environmental Bureau and my staff, I'll mention too, we actually are able to get more as a state for our water systems than any others. But we're really talking more like 25 cents on the dollar. So the formula that will be applied will be if you're a water system that's been impacted and you've expended resources to remediate that, and if you've already gotten grant money from the state, that will be deducted, so to speak, right? And then that will be your proportional allocation. So that's already been decided at the trust fund. The next meeting coming up, there'll be a little bit more details discussed at the trust fund commission.
And there are other settlements going on, correct?
Correct. I think overall there's almost 8 to 10 years of money will be coming in, so to speak.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any further questions for the commissioner? Councilor Wheeler.
Governor, I move to table item 50.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
All in favor of the tabling motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that item is tabled. Any further discussion on these
No, I
items?
just want, no, I'm voting no.
Yeah,
I will vote no as well.
got it. So any further discussion on the remaining items? Hearing none, all in favor of items 31 through 60 with the exception of item 50 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The items carry. Can I have a motion to consider items 61 and 62 from the Department of Education?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Councilor Leo Hill.
Good afternoon, Commissioner of Education.
Thank you, Commissioner. At a recent executive council meeting, we learned about the loss of federal funds for the TRIO program, which provides support for low-income students in New Hampshire, approximately 1,500 of them. That we learned later that the appeal, I know the governor also had discussions and advocated with the Department of Education, and that appeal was denied. What are the plans to support those low-income students that are now in the middle of the school year and losing those services?
So the Department of Education will continue to advocate for the use of funds to support those types of programming, as well as look at other funds that we have available that may be subsidized in those programs. We do have a variety of other federal funds to support educational needs of students, such as Title I, that could be used for similar type programs, and we will continue to make sure schools will use innovative ways for using funds across the board.
If we use those other funds that you're mentioning, does that mean that we will then be providing less services to other students? Will we be sort of cannibalizing the existing funds?
So there's no additional funds that are being provided to use those services, but we want to make sure that funds are utilized to the maximum extent, and sometimes there are additional ways to use funds or more creatively or redistribution of funds, and we are always within those processes at the department.
Thank you. We also just learned of significant, massive firings in the Department of Education, particularly the department that is responsible for administering IDEA for special education students. How many special education students do we have in New Hampshire?
We have about 30,000 special education students.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for the Commissioner? Excuse me, Councilor Riley.
Move to table items 61 and 62.
Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No.
The items are tabled. Let me just note also that I personally spoke to the Secretary of Education about these funds for New Hampshire. And, you know, unfortunately, we're not those were cut off midstream. And I made our case to it, I know as did others. And I disagree with the administration and what they're doing on this, and I've been quite clear on that. So let me just move on to item 64. 63. I ask for a motion to adopt item 63 from the police standards and care.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Leo Hill. There's a question. Director.
Good afternoon, Governor. Good afternoon, council members. John Skippa, Director of New Hampshire Police Standards and Training.
Thank you, Director. Just yesterday, the Attorney General issued a report regarding the murder of Sandra Marisol Fuentes and subsequent suicide of Michael Gleason Jr. on July 6, 2025 in Berlin, New Hampshire. There were a number of recommendations, and I'm sure we will be discussing this more when the Attorney General is up for his agenda items. But can you please talk about how you plan to, or are there plans to incorporate some of the recommendations into your department and into the training for law enforcement in the state?
Thank you for that question, Councilor. I can tell you that even prior to the release of that report, I had the opportunity to speak with General Formella, members of his staff, along with Councilor Stephen, relative to this very important topic. It's ironic that we're also conducting a general overview and review of our curriculum at the Basic Academy based on a job task analysis that was just completed. This is going to give us an opportunity to, in the first instance, sit down and just reevaluate all of the legal classes that we deliver in the academy, the Basic Academy. And we'll also look at any in-service or professional development classes for those police officers that might be prosecutors or asked to act in the capacity of a prosecutor during those early hearings, to include bail hearings. I know that we've had a number of conversations with Councilor Stephen and with the General, and we based on this report that was released, we're going to get back together and form a more definitive plan. But that is definitely something that has been discussed prior to the release of that report, and we stand ready to move anything forward that's going to make things better.
One of the issues that has come up seems to be the uneven application of I'm blanking on the name of it right now, but the risk assessment that's done by law enforcement. Can you please, what is the name of it? Thank you.
Fatality assessment program.
Can you talk about, is there a way for your department to be helping to ensure that law enforcement agencies across the state are applying that, are using that tool uniformly?
Thank you for that question. Presently, and prior to this report, and candidly prior to this tragic event, I can tell you that the Lapse screening protocol is a component of the domestic violence response classes that we already deliver at the Police Academy. Part of that training actually asks the recruit officers to sit through lecture. Then there's a review of the actual document and the process by which that document is used with these victims. And then we also provide a scenario relative to a police officer responding to a call, and then working with that victim using the Lapse screening process. This report that was just released is speaking to a LAP .20, development of a LAP .20. And so certainly our agency stands ready to work with DOJ, Councilor Stephen, any other stakeholder that's going to be part of that discussion to amplify that new process, and then we will incorporate that into our training program. With regard to the uniformity of its use, I think that is something that we can certainly continue to encourage. I know that the Attorney General is maybe a little bit more well positioned to drive that as well.
Thank you.
Further questions for the director?
Governor,
Councilor,
I move to table item 63.
is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of tabling item 63, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No.
Councilor Stevens, and you know?
Aye.
Okay. So the item is tabled, so I ask for a motion to adopt agenda item 64 from the Department of Safety.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Kenny.
Thank you, Governor.
Good afternoon, Governor, Executive Council. For the record, Robert Quinn, Department of Safety.
Good to see you, Commissioner. I just wanted to compliment the Fire Marshal, Sean Toomey, on his excellent work with regards to the carbon monoxide public service announcements. I've seen them everywhere. And last year I lost 4 residents in my community, actually second home residents, the Goldsteins. two daughters and the mother and father to carbon monoxide because they had a failed heating system. And I think it's this time of the year, this is really important. So I just wanted to commend him for doing that and being serious on the topic. So it's a very important topic.
I'll pass that along. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilor Stephen.
While we're commending, I want to first commend you, Governor, on the Highway Task Force. I know this is between meetings, but your leadership really came through. We had a great press conference, obviously, and I know that you're not looking at that as to put that on the shelf, and you're going to make sure it's in action. But I want to thank you, Commissioner, and your staff, the Division of Motor Vehicles, and the hearings officers, and also those that sat in all those meetings, and Assistant Commissioner Edwards, and also from your staff, Governor Steve McCord. That highway safety plan is a document that is going to save lives, no question in my mind. And we're just going to have to monitor it. So my question to you is to really make sure that we're monitoring and tracking outcomes. What is, I know you're working closely with the governor. What is your feeling about your agency continuing to stay involved in that great process that we had?
Well, the vision is this, it resonated loud and clear that it isn't going to sit on your shelf. And I think we transitioned the work from the Governor's Highway Task Force, Special Task Force, to the Traffic Safety Commission. And we meet monthly and continue to update the Governor and all stakeholders to continue that these action items get done, check these boxes up. So we're going to put this, we're going to prioritize it, and it won't sit on the shelf. So it'll be this Traffic Safety Commission when we stand up and make it more robust.
And just final question, will you come back to the council every quarter or whatever to give us some updates on how it's going?
I'm happy to report on that,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Any further discussion let me just say that I really appreciate the work of not only you, Commissioner, but the Director of DMV, really Homeless Security, everyone who was around the table with that, Councilor Stephen, and it was a great group of stakeholders and lawmakers. And I get a lot of reports as governor, as you can imagine. And the one that's actually sitting on my desk is that one, and to remind me that we need to live this one, because I think you're right, the changes we can make and being focused on this really can make a difference in saving lives.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any further discussion about this item?
Yes, Governor.
Councilor Wheeler.
Move to table item 64.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No. The item is tabled. I ask for a motion to adopt agenda items 65 through 69 from the Department of Justice.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Councilor Stephen.
General, I just wanted to ask you a question here, and first I want to compliment you and the Department of Government. And I know that working with Councilor Kenny, you were very responsive on the Berlin incident, the tragedy. And I worked at the Attorney General's office. I know the Governor has. This is unprecedented that you do a report like this. And I just want to thank you, because it is going to have ripple effects positively in the domestic violence environment. The one on number 67, we were looking at these sub-grants. I looked at these grants and the Victims Crime Act, and I understand there's a lot with child advocacy centers, which I know, Governor, you and I actually, I don't know if you remember this, but the very first child advocacy center that opened in New Hampshire, you and I were at that opening. And I'm sure you remember.
I do remember, and actually, I was Attorney General when we actually started supporting not only the child advocacy centers from the state perspective, also this, obviously Attorney General Formella has been passionate about that, but yeah, I was there at the beginning as you were.
And I fondly remember that. So I want to talk about the Vine system, because in your recommendation, I felt there was one area, and Councilor Kenny and I have been going around to the different counties, the jail systems, to look at the electronic pretrial monitoring system.
Yeah.
I feel that Stratford County has the best practice. I'm not saying every county has to adapt the same process, but it's just a testament to that county and their focus on victims, especially in domestic violence, at the front end. I think I read this, and I want to make sure I'm clear, that First of all, electronic monitoring is very important in the pretrial area, and I know that it's so sophisticated now that you can even put a circle around a certain radius, and if that individual on bail approaches that radius, there will be immediate notification to police, people in that area, and that could have happened in Berlin. And I understand there's issues with resources, and Coos County is one of the counties, and Councilor Kenny and I met with the superintendent that doesn't have this today. And they're asking for an evaluation, an assessment to see how it would work. And they're gonna obviously need some funds. So the question that I really, the big gap that I see after looking at this is obviously you raised it, trying to help these counties to have electronic monitoring at the pretrial detention phase.
Yes.
Which is really important. Now, I understand that you're gonna work on that, as you said, you're gonna try to find funds. And we're gonna be joining you on that.
Yeah.
But I wanna go with Vine, I believe that system is after conviction.
Correct.
Someone's incarcerated,
For
correct?
incarcerated individuals, yeah.
Okay, so for my thinking in terms of interoperability in healthcare world and others, there's all kinds of technology out there is there an ability for Vine to be used for victims on the pretrial area? I know in my own district, I have a woman that is in an apartment with her children and there's a bail order, and she has a plan with the county attorney that as soon as that her ex-boyfriend shows up anywhere in sight, she is to call 911, the kids are supposed to go in a room, she's supposed to do all this stuff. But can you look at whether Vine or some system like that can be used in a pretrial, which Hillsborough County has, that can notify victims immediately if a perpetrator comes into a certain area? It just seems to me that technology exists.
Yeah, absolutely, Councilor. I mean, I think that just stepping back, one goal coming out of this tragic case is to try to ensure that we have standard technology and resources across the state and in every county. Because I would absolutely agree that it's unacceptable for us to not have certain things available in certain counties. I mean, public safety is the same everywhere. So electronic monitoring, for instance, we want to identify a way to get that in every county, but also standardize the practices. Because it's not operated everywhere the same way. To your point, I think Stratford County does do a really good job. We're fortunate to have former longtime Stratford County attorney in our office, and this is something he can really help us with. But to make sure electronic monitoring is available in every county and standardize the practices, it looks like
I would really like the Department of Corrections to offer some insight on this, because they're obviously involved in it.
Jane Graham from the Department of Corrections. So with the Vine system, the counties also use Vine. So it's different from electronic home monitoring, but it is used at the county system to alert people when people are released from jail or have a custody status change. So we are uniform. This portion is our portion of the contract. So that we're all using the same technology.
But my question though is, there's hundreds of individuals out on bail today in the domestic violence area that have not been convicted, and victims need to be notified if they come near them. And this system can be used for that purpose. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, and I think that's something we could look into, right, is whether that technology can be translated to something that looks more like pretrial services or electronic monitoring. And if it's not that technology, a different technology. I mean, Stratford County's doing a really good job with this, so it may be that what they're using, we should try to make the model for every county in the state. But yes, that's definitely something we're going to look into as part of this. Because I would agree with you, electronic monitoring was one of the biggest takeaways from this report and this tragic case. The fact that it wasn't even available in Coos County, and I think could have been really helpful in this case.
Thank you.
And the bail law, right? Following the law and keeping these people held when they're dangerous.
Well, I think that is also,
Amen.
Governor, from this case, it's a clear takeaway is that had the current bail statute been in effect when this tragic incident took place and the lead up took place, I think it's a lot more likely that Mr. Gleason would have been held.
Thank you. Further discussion? Councilor Kenny.
Thank you, Attorney General, for that. Marisol Fuentes' report, because it was really an investigation along with a review. And that's really unprecedented. So thank you, Department of Justice, and your leadership on that. We're talking about a lot of subject matter of the courts, as far as reform within the courts and, with regards to domestic violence, looking at collecting data on domestic violence, looking at lab training at the, police academy, looking at pretrial kind of, monitoring systems. We're looking really systemically across the board with domestic violence and how we treat and how we can respond to it. But in all of this, I don't want people to forget who Marisol Fuentes was. I went to her funeral, it was packed. And, locals, dignitaries were there. Father Kyle Michaels presided. It was a big procession, altar boys. And there was, her family was all in black. There was a Spanish translator at the actual mass. I knew who was in front of me, beside me, this side of me, and behind me. There was she was a very gifted person that had a full of life with a big smile that really made an impact in Berlin. So with that, as we're thinking about all these reforms in domestic violence, let's not forget the person too, because that person was not, her casket was not there. It was a big, beautiful picture of Marisol Fuentes, and she later, was transported back to Mexico in a little town called Delgado, which is a Mexican town. That was her hometown. That funeral was televised online. And the same community that was in Berlin was in Mexico to pay tribute to this woman. And as she walked out with an open casket, the last scene I can envision was a little girl trying to look over the casket. It's tradition to throw flowers into the open casket. That little girl was throwing her flowers. Couldn't see Marisol, but she knew she was there. And so while we're talking about domestic violence reform, that was a real person that impacted that area. In that particular week and day, it was my birthday, July 12th. I went up there on a Saturday. That place was in total mourning. So that's why you and everyone else is making that great effort to change the system with regards to domestic violence. And that's something we always should remember.
Thank you, Councilor. I absolutely agree. Every loss of life is tragic, but there's no question that one of the things that has come out of this case is that Marisol Fuentes was someone who impacted a lot of people around her, was a really special part of the Berlin community and communities beyond Berlin, and her death devastated the community, devastated her family and loved ones. And I think one thing that can come out of this case is her leaving a legacy that will protect other people, even though she wasn't able to be protected herself.
Councilor, I completely agree. And all this effort really should be named after her because she was an incredible person and just an awful, awful loss that we'll never replace. But if we can make a difference here, save another life, it will be because of her. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Governor. And thank you for submitting your report. While the report does indicate the use of the lethality assessment protocol by the Berlin Police Department, and that was noted in the judicial study as well, that she had been screened, but there are questions regarding the effective utilization of this tool to safeguard her. We know that she claimed that he was capable and would kill her, especially if she sought supportive services. My question is, why was she not afforded full protection and access to domestic violence services? It's very troubling to me. We know in the report it states that she began moving from residence to residence, telling others she was fearful that Gleason was searching for her. She was relying on coworkers and restaurant patrons for transportation and safety support despite being previously secured protective orders. And again, in the August 25 report, she said that he is capable of seriously harming or killing me. Why was she not fully connected and protected within one of her safe homes?
Counselor, I can tell you that a lapse screening was done and that she was connected with services. I can't go into detail here as to the services she was connected to, you know, that's confidential under 173C. That's certainly something though that the Domestic Violence Fatality Review Committee is going to be looking into closely, is what services was she connected to, were those services effective, and how do we potentially need to improve those services. So as far as the services she was connected to, I can only confirm that she was connected to services. I can't get into details on how that worked, but that's why we have the Domestic Violence Fatality Review Committee, is so we have a group of people that can look into these types of issues that are otherwise confidential, that have the authority to look into those issues to get information that even I couldn't get, especially if there isn't an active criminal investigation happening. We now have a committee that's got the tools to do that. But without an active criminal investigation, even the Attorney General wouldn't be able to get information that's otherwise confidential. So that's why it's so important that this committee was signed into law. Certainly thank the governor for that, thank the legislature for that. And we're going to be working in the committee to look into issues like that.
And just follow up, we do know that with scoring criteria, if you score a certain level, you're immediately connected. And I'm at a loss of words for why she was seeking refuge with friends and family in that community, and again, not ushered into a safe house. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilor Kenny.
Thank you, Governor. I just want to back up what the Attorney General was saying. So soon after, I called the response coordinator for that area of domestic violence, and I asked them specifically about what services, you know, what type of counseling and protection that she was getting. They could not divulge the information to me at that time. And this is after the death of Marisol Fuentes. So I appreciate the confidentiality. I'm hoping, you know, the Fatality Review Committee will be able to review that, because to me that's a resource thing as well.
Yes.
Because if there wasn't resources for a safe house or personnel or to get her out of that community, you know, that's stuff that committee will probably reveal. So I appreciate what you just said.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Could I also just note as well, I don't know why my mic isn't working, but one of the important things that came forward in the budget was that we put unprecedented state funding to support our domestic violence coalition as well, which was important for the state because some of the federal funding formulas were changing. And I want to thank the Attorney General for working with me on that, because you're absolutely right, Councilor, to make sure those services are there for someone in those just obviously dire circumstances.
Thank you.
Councilor Leo Hill.
Thank you. Part of what makes this so heartbreaking is that Marisol clearly did everything right. She reached out when she told people what was going on. She went to the police, she filed a report, she sought services. She knew that she was in danger. And yet, time and time again, her pleas really were not, she did not receive an appropriate response. And Mr. Gleason was not managed appropriately, despite everyone knowing that he was a serious risk. And my question for you is, you know, I'm glad that we're looking at this report has good recommendations that are going to improve the system. And yet, she did everything she was supposed to do, but the system failed her. And my question is, if victims continue to experience systemic barriers to their safety, what recourse is available to them? Who do they go to? Do they call the Attorney General's office? Like, where are victims supposed to go? That's not in this report, and I think that's really important for us to get out there, because there are people who are still living this daily, and they need to know where to go when the police aren't responding, when the courts are not responding, when they are living in fear for their lives. Where do they go?
You make a really good point, Councilor. I just want to say a couple things and I will answer your question. One of the things about this case that is so tragic is you're right, Marisol did everything she was supposed to do, and she still was tragically killed. One of the challenges we face in the victim service area is that there are many victims who never even seek services, who don't even take the steps that Marisol took. And those are the cases that really haunt us and that really make us have to continue to think about how do we engage with and communicate with victims and show victims that if they come forward, if they take that risk to come forward, they will be protected. They'll be connected with services. Law enforcement will respond. Nothing bad will happen to them. Because that's a major challenge we face in many cases. The victims don't even come forward. They don't seek services. I would say to your question, where does a victim go? I mean, you should call your local police department, call a crisis center, try to get connected with services. I think we at the Attorney General's office need to look at what else we need to do to make sure that it's clear where the resources are and where victims can go. I will tell you, we have decades of experience in that in our Office of Victim Witness Assistance, really dedicated victim advocates, victim service specialists who are thinking every day about how to do this. But it's not just about improving the services for victims who do come forward. It's about how do we assure victims that if they come forward, they'll be protected. Because there are many victims who never come forward and they suffer in silence, and that is in many ways those are the most tragic cases of all. So yes, call your local police department, call the crisis center, but I do think it's incumbent on us to make sure that victims know that and that the communication channels are easy to find and easy to access.
I appreciate that, and I hope you'll consider that, recommendations around that, thinking about, creating some deliberate recommendations around that to augment the report that you've prepared.
Absolutely, and one thing I wanted to make clear in the report, I'll make clear here, the list of recommendations and action steps were in no means intended to be exhaustive. We're going to be doing more than that, but we wanted to list some specific concrete things in this report, but we're going to be working to figure out what else we need to do, and there will be certainly other steps we're taking with this.
Any further questions or comments to the Attorney General?
Yes, Governor.
Councilor Wheeler.
Move to table items 68 and 69.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye on 69, nay on 68.
Thank you, Councilor.
And I do have a question on 65.
The discussion is over
sorry.
on this, so I guess if you have an additional question, we just moved to table 68, 69, you can have an additional question on 65, if you have a question.
Thank you. General, this agenda item is asking to expend up to another $4.3 million in general litigation expenses. Are some of these additional litigation expenses related to the YDC settlement?
They're not related to the YDC settlement fund, no. They're related to the cases that are in litigation.
I'm sorry, that was my question. Is this agenda item of up to $4.3 million, is this related to litigation regarding YDC?
Yes, some of it is approximately 1.5 million.
1.5 million. And these were unbudgeted?
Yes, unbudgeted, but for the last decade plus, that's how our litigation fund has worked. The legislature budgets an amount that I think everyone understands is not going to be enough, and the plan is for us to have to do the work, try to figure out what we're going to need for a particular fiscal year, come to the fiscal committee and the governor and council to ask for an amount. So you're correct that they're unbudgeted, but I do think I should point out that's anticipated, that we were going to have to come back for more. And I will note that we really worked hard to cut down our request this fiscal year, knowing the budget challenges the state is facing. This is 40% less than we requested last fiscal year. And while that is in part due to just the cases we're dealing with, we've also been able to achieve some pretty significant savings by just spreading the work around the office, taking some work and from one area of the office and aligning it to another area of the office. So we've worked really hard to keep that number down, but yes, it's not budgeted.
And with the changes to the YDC settlement program, are you anticipating that there's going to be more litigation related to YDC?
I think it's too early to tell that. And even if there is, the way that litigation is scheduled out, I don't think it would create an immediate change in the litigation workload, because there's, right, 1,300, 1,400 cases in Superior Court. We've been doing a lot of the pre-trial and discovery work on all of those cases, which is why the costs have been so high the last few years. The trials, if all those cases were to go to trial, would be scheduled out for decades. But if some cases leave the settlement fund and go back to litigation, I don't expect it to be any immediate increase in workload or cost because of the way the cases would have to be scheduled out.
And I believe I read a report that the potential liability is up to $1.8 billion for those cases.
That number was based on the total dollars claimed from claims filed. So while that number exists, I think it's perhaps a little, I don't want to say misleading, but I would say that is not the best measure of the potential liability for the state, because if you just go by what somebody puts in a claim form or their total claims, that doesn't really provide an evaluation of what the actual number will be at the end of the day. So I would be hesitant to place any number on potential liability for the state. The number you just quoted is based on the total amount claimed, but of course, the way lawsuits work, you usually get quite a bit less than you ask for to claim. Or the way the claims process works, you usually get significantly less than you do.
So safe to say that we're going to have additional unbudgeted but anticipated litigation costs related to YDC for the foreseeable future.
Yes, safe to say, but that's safe to say for a lot of cases that we handle, because the state doesn't pre-budget for settlements that we might have to pay out for any cases that we handle. We have hundreds of cases that we handle at any given time.
Are there any other cases that are the scope of the YDC claims with up to 1,500?
I would say there are other cases that individually are similar to an individual YDC case, but no, we don't have any other group of cases that approaches anything close to 1,500.
Thank you.
Any further questions for the Attorney General? Hearing none, all in favor of items 65 through 67, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The items carry. I ask for a motion to adopt agenda item 70 from the Department of Health and Human Services, Division for Children, Youth, and Families.
So moved.
Any discussion?
Governor,
Councilor?
if there's no discussion, I move the table.
Second.
Any, all in favor of the tabling motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that item is tabled. And we'll move on to, I ask for a motion to adopt agenda items 72 through 74 from the Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Behavioral Health.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Councilor Hill?
Yes, please.
Good afternoon, Lori Weaver, Commissioner of Health and Human Services. For item 72.
Thank you. The change of the season reminds me, as temperatures are getting colder, that there are a lot of people who do not have housing, and especially are going to be impacted by the winter months coming up. Can you give us an update on what we are? I know that some of these programs are, the contract 72, 73 are related to homelessness, but are we being, how are we preparing for the winter months?
Katia Fox, Director of the Division for Behavioral Health. The council actually recently approved contracts that are specifically for the winter months. We were afforded through the legislative process and the governor's signing of the budget to continue a program that we started several years ago that has, we call it the cold weather solutions. And it's a competitive process whereby counties apply for, or programs apply per county and are awarded to serve their counties to provide that extra boost that we experience in the winter and cold weather months. So those contracts are in place. The effective date is October 1st, and they run, I believe, through the end of March. And so those programs are expected to run as they have in previous winters. Our other shelter contracts also you have approved, and those are for our permanent shelters around the state. And again, through the legislative process and the budgeting process, we are able to maintain the dollar amount per bed per day for that have been an increase that have been at a temporary basis, but then the legislature did make it more permanent, and so those contracts are in place as well.
How many people do we estimate to be experiencing homelessness in New Hampshire?
I'm sorry, I do not have those numbers here with me. We continue to have a persistent problem, and it's only was made worse by the housing crunch in the state of New Hampshire.
It would be great if you could provide that, and with historic data.
Sure.
The housing crunch has not gone away and only gotten worse, and it seems from my 20 years as a city councilor in Lebanon, it was evident to me that homelessness has been increasing over time and has become a major issue for a lot of our communities. Thank you.
And I will just say that that number was just provided to me, and the point in time count that is done annually for 2024, it's over 2,000, or 2,400 people.
Thank you.
Councilor Stevens?
Good afternoon, Commissioner Weaver. I have a topic question for you. This was raised recently at an executive council meeting, and I'm getting inundated with phone calls. But I'd like an update on the status of the RFP for the SNAP outreach program. This was a contract with the New Hampshire Food Bank that I, along with other members of the executive council, approved in 2023. And unfortunately, it expired in October 2024. But had this contract been renewed in a timely manner, the New Hampshire Food Bank could have leveraged 50% federal match for every dollar of private funding raised to support their SNAP outreach. There were assurances that an RFP would be presented in the spring. At a recent ribbon cutting event again in Portsmouth for Community Food Center, again, I was inundated with folks asking about the status of this RFP. We presently, only 32% of eligible New Hampshire residents for SNAP are enrolled. We have the lowest rate in the nation. And it's unacceptable that we continue to delay efforts to promote enrollment and expand access. So I'm going to continually ask where we stand on this. We know that our veterans, 3,600 veterans, are dependent on SNAP. 45% of households have a family member with a disability who needs SNAP. 39% are older adults. So this is a program that brings $154 million in federal nutrition support to New Hampshire, and we know things are going to get very tough a year from now with increased responsibility for administrative fees, along with an error rate that is going to cost us significantly. So I would just love an update on the status of the RFP, please.
Sure.
Good afternoon, Chris Santinello, Associate Commissioner. That contract is currently getting ready to be released. It's in procurement process. It just got delayed due to the budget process.
Can you repeat that, please?
It is currently in procurement. We are getting ready to release the RFP. We're finalizing it. It was delayed due to our budgeting process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Leo Hill.
Thank you. On the topic of SNAP, at the last executive council meeting, which was the first day of the federal government shutdown, we were told that the programs that folks receiving SNAP could expect to continue receiving SNAP. There would be no disruption for up to 30 days. But we are getting closer and closer to 30 days. Do we have plans to have bridge funding, or what will happen to the 40,000 or so families that are currently receiving SNAP when those 30 days are up?
For the folks that are still working in food and nutrition services in the federal government, we've been in active conversation with them. We do have benefits through the end of October. As you can imagine, it's complicated formulas. We are every day working on contingency planning for if there were no funding past 10/31.
So you have plans in place to get?
We are working with federal government, governor's office as well, to figure out what that would look like after 10/31, should the shutdown still be happening then.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're working on plans. Families need to know how they're going to be able to send their kids to school not hungry and be able to go to work not hungry, and so they need to know what the plan is, and so I hope you can share that.
Yes, it is our intention that once we have the plan, it's fine. Like I said, we're working with food and nutrition services on a regular basis, and there's a lot of moving parts to this, and the goal is to make sure that no one goes without the benefit. But I don't have the final on that yet.
Well, here's an easy way we could do this. If Washington would get their act together and would vote to fund the government, then we would not have this issue. And we have till the end of the month. I can assure you as governor, this is on my mind, and I think about it at night when I'm going to sleep. It keeps me up. And working with the commissioner and her team on this, we will do everything we can to make sure that people who need the help, food insecurity, the children that we do whatever we can in our state to make sure that they get the food that they need. But Washington could end this now. So,
I have a question.
Councilor Stevens.
This is on the item 72. So, Commissioner, in July of 2024, you came here to this body and you asked for approval of $100,000, but in the middle of this contract, ends in 2027, on the HIMSS contract. And you said in that document, and I continue to see this, you said in the event that federal funds become no longer available, general funds will not be used, requested to support this program. I see this as asking for 59% general funds for the same contract. Can you first explain to me why are we asking for general funds and not federal funds? And secondly, do you agree that that's a misrepresentation to the council?
I will let Country Boss explain why it's set up that way for the federal fund and general fund split.
Yeah, if you go back in the history of this contract, there always have been general funds included. There is a required match, so it's a 75-25, so the state has to provide 25% of this contract. And it also includes a program that is not funded by the federal government, which is our state grant and aid program. And that is our program for the homeless shelters. And so while you see that language, it is there because we would not seek to replace those federal funds with general funds, but there are requirements that we have the general funds in this contract.
And you could have used another contract, another RFP. The funds that I referred to in the 2024 contract were 100% federal.
Right.
And this changed. And it changed without an explanation in here to the council that we're changing because of whatever reason, for whatever reason. When I vote for something and I see federal funds will not, general funds will not be requested, I take you to your word. That's all. The next question. In this contract, it says two things. This is being used, $554,000 for retention of skilled HIMSS technical staff. For retention of staff. Then, comma, ensuring the reliability of software. How is this $554,000 in between a contract that's already been approved, being used because they're going to lose HIMSS staff, and so we're going to give them a bump in their salary? It says right here, retention of skilled staff. Is that the reason, or is it software? I cannot figure this out.
So, thank you for pointing out the confusion that may have been caused by that particular sentence. The funding is for the entire program and includes the staff. HUD actually awarded us additional dollars because of the recognition of needing to retain staff for these types of services. So the entire project is, and program and service is the 554, and there was a small bump that was for that retention of staff. And I'm sorry that was not clear in the letter, but that was the intent.
And I understand it's to build staff capacity, I saw that.
Yeah.
But then I see retention of staff, and that tells me we're gonna give them a higher rate or higher pay in between this contract that we agreed to. That's what it tells me.
And that's what the federal government afforded us and said that the money was for, with that small bump that they made. And if I may just clarify and inform a point that you made, Councilor, the prior in 2024 was 100%, it changed to the match. So if you want us to be more explicit in the letter to point that out, we'd be more than happy to do that. I believe it's reflected in the financials behind it that shows the split, but we are required for that match. So we'd be more than happy to put that clarification in the letter if that would help.
I'm just asking you to honor what you said.
I believe we did honor what we said.
Thank you.
Any further discussion at the table right now?
Governor? I want to point out on item 72 is a perfect example that Councilor Stevens wouldn't have known the change in funding if, like originally happened earlier this year, we were no longer given the original contracts. And so this one has a link to that contract.
Well, you said he was given this contract here.
This one has the link to the contract, yes. But item 74 does not have the link to the original contract. That's not there, as well as the other information that we asked for. So I moved to table 72 and 74.
Second.
Can we clarify, was the original contract, which is obviously we're trying to produce and all these instances is important?
Yeah, I don't know if there is an original contract.
Is there an original contract?
It says amendment, it's got to amend something.
Okay, well, that should obviously, we want to have all that online, but, so there's a motion on the table. Is there a vote on the motion? Or is that, there's a clarification or motion?
Motion to table, yeah. 72 and 74.
The original contract is in the packet that you received.
I didn't see it when I went through it. I could be wrong. And I will look, and I will stand corrected if I'm wrong.
Apparently it's in the packet, but we can look further.
I didn't see it online. I'm practicing.
Yeah, it's in your physical copy that you got.
But not online for the public?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. I'll double check, thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to check that, or do we see?
No, I just still want a table for the other reasons.
Okay.
May I ask what the other reason was? I don't know if I heard it.
The lack of information that we asked for at the Falcino Governor and Executive Council.
Oh, I wasn't sure it was related to something that asked me, thank you for the clarification, because on number 7, yeah, it was tabled, but there's no discussion, so I'm not sure if that applies there, or if you had questions for the department on the item itself.
Now, so what items are you tabling? Just so I can-
72 and 74, please.
But you're not tabling 73.
Correct.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye on 72, no on 74.
And now we have left item 73. All in favor of item 73 signify by saying aye.
Aye. Oh, aye, yes.
So, is it only item 73?
Only item 73, the other two have been tabled. I asked for a motion to adopt agenda items 75 through 87 from the Department of Administrative Services. Any discussion? There's no discussion?
I'd like, if there's no other discussion, Governor, I'd like to move to table 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, and 84.
Second.
We started at 78.
What's left?
76, 77, okay, 83, okay,
Well, 75,
75, okay,
75, 76, 77, and 83 are still
okay.
okay.
Okay, is there a second to that tabling
Second.
motion? All in favor of tabling all the items except for 75, 76, 77, 83?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No.
That's still processing. Question? Or is it too late?
No, we're waiting for your vote.
No, I have a question. This is a $2.4 million contract with Irving Oil.
But it's actually a tabling motion, so we don't have
Okay.
discussion. Sorry. If you can.
Yeah, so,
So, the tabling motion, is that concluded? Everyone's rendered their vote that they want a tabling motion?
What,
I think it was 4-1.
Okay. So, we have the remaining items, which I believe are 75, 76, 77, and 83. Are there any questions about? Did you include in your tabling motion 85, 86, and 87? I thought you did, but I didn't.
no, just stopped at 84.
Okay. So then we also have 85, so 75, 76, 77, 83, and also 85, 86, and 87 are up for discussion. Okay. Any discussion?
Make a move to pass.
second.
Hearing no discussion, then the vote is on approval of 75, 76, 77, 83, 85, 86, and 87. All in favor of those items signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We also have late item A. I asked for a motion to adopt late item A from the Department of Administrative
So moved.
Services.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a question, Governor.
Councilor?
Is this item up on the website now?
From the breakfast this morning, I don't know, because I would have been.
I'm not on the website.
Just if we're gonna talk transparency, we have late items that need to be on the website as soon as we get them, as soon as possible. for the
I
pub-
agree
for the
100%,
public.
so that would, I think the Secretary of State would put it on the website, so.
When do you usually give them to Jenny?
I usually give her after, when I get to the meeting, I give them to you.
So we don't know prior to the meeting.
Right, and that's normal practice.
So there was, but this was on 4 meetings ago, so we can also, or 2 meetings ago, excuse me, not 4 meetings. So we can also make sure we pull it up from there, so that could be a way to do it, but we can let you know the night before if you wanna table this item, it's up to you, but.
No, I'm not asking for that.
And this is on the prior agenda, so if the public wants to look at it, it is on the 2 meetings ago prior agenda, which still is posted on the website.
So I make a motion to accept the contract.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilor Stevens?
She doesn't want to talk to me.
Hi, Joyce Pittman, Director of Risk and Benefits.
Good afternoon, Ms. Pittman. And again, as I stated at our most recent meeting when we discussed this $27 million contract with Anthem, well done, because of the performance guarantees that you incorporated into this contract, 9 additional requirements were added to hold them accountable. For operations, an additional requirement of $10,000 per occurrence for charges, for changes to claims processing, not communicated within 30 days, so there's no surprises. Surgery center and lab locations must cover the entire state, or they would be hit with a $2,500 per appeal fine, correct? My greatest concern was the 7.5% withhold for at-risk. And in the original contract, it clearly delineated and stated, for example, breast cancer screenings, 76% of enrollees. And I know that we were using federal Medicaid standards to quantify, which does not necessarily apply to our pool of beneficiaries. But have we defined what they're going to be responsible for with the 7.5% withhold?
And at the last meeting, you did ask me to provide those to you, we're close. We have 4 out of the 5 done. And I will be sending that to you as soon as we get the 5th one done. Breast cancer identified was off the list, mainly because that's a preventive measure that Anthem is exceeding. So we're taking that off the list as a performance improvement area. We're looking at 3 preventives right now, and we have mental health on the list, in addition musculoskeletal conditions, which we refer to as MSK. That will also be on the list, but we're just working through some of the finer details with Anthem, as we discussed at that meeting on the 17th of September. We're making them specific to our population, not the Anthem book of business or not a federal HEDIS measure. We're really honing in on our population, and that's what's just taking a little bit more time. But once I have all 5 complete, I will make sure that everyone on my council gets a copy of that, and you too, Brian.
Great. And the only other question I had for you was, we were now being charged for an access fee, which had been covered in the prior contract.
So we were always charged a fee. What this contract does is it's actually surfacing any of those fees that were hidden before, that they were, I'll say, less transparent. So the purpose of this contract is to surface all the fees that we have agreed upon in the past, but we want to see them. So I want to have them carved out in the invoices so we can actually tie them out to make sure we're only paying for what's agreed upon in that exhibit C.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Governor, it's worth noting that we often stand up here to take credit for all the work that people did for us. In this particular case, Joyce did actually personally negotiate the contract herself.
Thank you. First of all, Joyce, I want to thank you for your hard work. I know this was not an easy negotiation. I want to thank you, Commissioner, as well. And I want, as I stated at the breakfast meeting, people to understand that this is an important contract for the state employees and the people of New Hampshire. And I wanted to make sure that Anthem would be performing on this contract. We've had issues on the retiree health portion, which will be coming forward to you in a separate contract, and making sure that those issues were resolved and that they weren't going to come up again. In addition to that, there are a number of issues I've heard from providers throughout the state as well as patients, and I thought it was very important that I speak with them about how they're handling not only provider relationships, audits of providers, how they interact with not only the state, but the healthcare profession throughout the state. And one of the most important messages I had was, we are a small but mighty state, and we're going to interact in the New Hampshire way. We're going to resolve issues in a transparent fashion. We're going to make sure that we're serving the patients and that care is accessible. And I appreciated the discussion I had with Anthem. It's important, and I know that all of us will keep our eye on this. This is the beginning, and we will continue to look at these issues because this is important to our state employees and to the people of this state. And I know that having sat down with the commissioner and his team, that they did a lot of work and focused on those very issues on behalf of the state employees. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Governor.
Follow-up, I do want to emphasize that it's also important to make note of how we're treating our hospitals. And I trust you, Governor, that you've applied pressure, but we know that range is somewhere up to $300 million that is owed to our New Hampshire hospitals. So that has to be emphasized as well.
That was part of our discussion. Our
Thank
hospitals
you.
are very important, especially throughout the whole state, but obviously different challenges for our critical access hospitals as well. And receiving those payments in a timely fashion allows them to continue doing their important work and paying their employees and all those things that need to be done. So I appreciate you raising that issue, Councilor, because I raised it as well directly.
Thank you, Governor.
If there's no further discussion on this, I would ask for a vote on late item A, and I will note that it is posted on the website. Both the prior agenda and it's on the website now. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The item passes. Is there any other business to come before the council today?
Governor, just a quick statement, please. The items we tabled today, I am willing to come in between meetings if you want to call a special meeting to expedite anything that needs to be expedited. I just want to put that on the record, and I'm sure maybe some others would feel the same way.
Well, I understand you made the decision to table these items, and that was a decision that you made, based on a number of paperwork issues that, and I hope that we can work to reduce the amount of paper and also make it a place where we have more accessibility online. So I appreciate those are decisions you've made in terms of your constituents, and we'll take a look at that. And I appreciate everyone being here today. And second, I would just say that the council meeting is concluded. I believe it's 1:42 in the afternoon, so have a great afternoon.
Thank you.